Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to OPC Season 2. I'm AVRL. Joining with me this evening is Pixie as we head into the final match of the evening, Mega Thunder taking on Hong Kong Attitude.
And this is an interesting one for both. Mega Thunder hot off their victory last night against Matchy. They need to pick up this win to keep the playoff hope alive for themselves, but it is a hope that exists thanks to yesterday's win. On the other hand, Hong Kong Attitude, a little more secure in that playoff spot, but with AHQ looking really resurgent now, they can't really afford to drop any games themselves. And I mean, you never want to say that you can afford to lose games anyway. You always want to go in aiming to win. This is going to be quite a contested matchup, I feel.
I think if you know, in terms of standings, so you look at a team like Hong Kong Attitude, the reason you say they can't afford to drop this is they're only just barely making it into that top four. With AHQ hot on their heels now as well, it becomes very difficult for them to hold on to their position. We are going to go into the pre-match interview, a couple of thoughts from both sides before we start things off. It's going to be Graceful representing Mega Thunder and JFPS Life, the coach of Hong Kong Attitude as well.
Since last time you guys 3-0 them, what about today?
We're gonna 6-0 them today.
Wow! 我刚问他问题说，既然上次你们把他们3-0，那今天会怎么样呢？他说那就加起来，让它变成6-0吧。哇！刚刚听到他们这一段话，那你有这边 HK 这边有什么想说的呢？
赛季快结束了，不要打升降赛啊。
Jay says the round robin's almost over, the regular season's almost over. Don't get your hopes up. So it's tough. It's
stone cold, man. Like Graceful's just there having some bands. That was stone cold. Like, man, they have families. That was okay. As harsh as this is to say, actually, he's kind of not wrong. This is exactly what I was just saying, right? Mega Thunder, thanks to the win against Matchy, have a hope of making playoffs here. It's a very real hope. But with AHQ looking resurgent, that's a team that they're going to struggle to beat. Maybe they'll be able to beat Blank, but they have to beat Hong Kong Attitude as well as that in order to be able to break into playoffs. And that's kind of assuming they don't beat Flash Wolves or Ardian, but I think that's a fair assumption to make, at least in terms of looking at the theoretical future for this team. So yeah, they can't afford losses here. So Hong Kong Attitude is dead right. And even if Hong Kong Attitude pick up a loss, they can still hold on to a spot in playoffs if they can still best AHQ and Blank for a third time in a row, or rather a fourth time in a row now for AHQ. And Mega Thunder wouldn't even be able to make playoffs anyway. So he's completely right. Mega Thunder need to not get too cocky.
Mega Thunder, though, I think they have the possibility to get a good run even this late into the tournament. They still have the ability to get some wins on the board, and getting one against Hong Kong Attitude was certainly, I guess, wouldn't prove Hong Kong Attitude wrong necessarily, but would certainly show them that they're not to be messed around with. I think it's very important for a team like Hong Kong Attitude that if you are going to be playoffs caliber, to show that you're playoffs caliber. You can't afford now to have a loss against a team like Mega Thunder when you've only just managed to sneak into that top four. You need to maintain that top four. But to just sort of remind you of exactly who is on this team, Hong Kong Attitude is represented by CQB on support, Ating on tank, Randy on flex, Mango Jai on support, Shailin on offense, and Mui on offense as well.
And of course, coming up against them will be Mega Thunder, who tonight are going to be fielding NZNR on offense, Elk on support, White as their flex player, Aputo on offense, Tita Watt their main tank, and Graceful their second support. So this seems to be the Mega Thunder that they've kind of solidified on, the one they've stuck with. They have a lot of members on this team, very wide roster, and then even after the season started, it expanded with picking up White, who went straight onto the starting roster. They have now parted ways, I suppose, with Moffat, who had been their DPS player. NZNR has come back in off the bench to replace him, and they do seem to be set on this particular lineup. The strength they still have is they still, of course, use the rest of the team to scrim, not just with, but also against. They actually have most of a team already as scrim partners. That's always kind of been the plan for this team as far as Mega Thunder are concerned. And it has been paying off. It's been paying off in terms of the victories they've got. The one they had against Hong Kong Attitude very early in the first round robin, and one that Hong Kong Attitude certainly recovered from well. They're looking better since then, but that's still the precedent that had been set.
I think it was interesting as well what Graceful was saying, because the past match result was 3-0, and that was in the favor of Mega Thunder. So now he wants to make it a 6-0. And so for Hong Kong Attitude, they have to come back with a little bit of vengeance. They need to show that that one loss against Mega Thunder was just a simple blemish on their record. Otherwise, they had a fantastic run the first round robin, and it was a fluke against them. They need to prove that now. And for Mega Thunder, they have to also prove that it wasn't a fluke.
And that's the thing, both of these teams since then have actually made great improvements. Hong Kong Attitude had more to make, but they did so. And I feel like the turning point of that was the series against Flash Wolves, which went to a full 5 games and they unfortunately lost. But they have not made the same mistakes in that series since and went on to pick up a great string of wins. Mega Thunder, on the other hand, picked up some wins, picked up some losses, but most crucially, like I said, the win against Machi last night can stand maybe as a turning point for this team now that sends them on that same upward trajectory where they start picking up a bunch of wins.
They had a good win against Machi last night as well. It felt really strong. Yes, they dropped the map against Machi in the series, but otherwise it looked like a Hong Kong Attitude affair. Now for Mega Thunder, they need to have at minimum that kind of shine because Mega Thunder also beat Machi most recently, so now Mega Thunder have to be able to come into this even stronger than Machi did.
Absolutely the case, right? This is a lot of pressure on them. But the one thing that Mega Thunder have on this side as well is they get the home side. They'll get that first control pick, they'll get the assault, and they'll get the second hybrid if we go that far, which I feel we very much could. Hong Kong Attitude, on the other hand, will get the first hybrid pick, not second escort pick, just the escort pick, maps 2 and 4. Curious to see what they'll pull out because Mega Thunder do like the Ilios, and this is really a great opportunity for them to pick that, go somewhere favored, and get one on the board quickly.
And just if memory serves correctly, you know, the last time we did see these two teams, the real point of contention, the map you really got to look out for, had to have been that Volskaya map, which Hong Kong Attitude fully held B, but then Mega Thunder on their own defense fully held A. But the first pick on Mega Thunder's side is Ilios.
Yeah, and like I said, absolutely not surprising. They're great on this map. They like playing it. They go to it constantly. They've had really great performances against some of the top teams in this tournament, on Ilios specifically. I believe that is the map they beat Flash Wolves on the first time these two teams met. Correct me if I'm wrong there. Oh no, it was Nepal even. So they're just a good team, as it turns out. Actually, that was against Hong Kong Attitude. Yeah, like I said, this is just an opportunity to put one on the board, set themselves up well, and we could maybe even see kind of a repeat of what happened against Machi, where they are able to win this one. I do feel Hong Kong Attitude is similar to Machi in that they do very well on those momentum-based maps, but if they're able to then win the assault, they will be in that same position where all they need to do is win one of the remaining maps. Being the first to be able to take it to match point is actually a huge boon for these home side teams in the second round robin.
It really puts the pressure on the other team, right, that's only sitting on the 1 win as opposed to 2, or rather on 0 wins as opposed to 2. So any team that gets that kind of lead, especially early on in the series, very important. So both teams gunning straight out the door. Getting this first map win will be extremely important, and certainly for Hong Kong Attitude, they went down 0-3. They didn't go down 3-2, or 2-3 rather. So they need to show up in a big way here. They need to make sure that, you know, to prove to everyone exactly how much of a turnaround this team has made. So Hong Kong Attitude, they've beaten a lot of teams on this table, but one of the teams they haven't beaten is Mega Thunder.
Now we get to go to the nondescript Greek island of Ilios. How wonderful, how scenic. Look at that beautiful town.
How violent.
How violent, yeah. The amount of bloodshed on this island is frankly phenomenal. The fact that there are ruins here as well, clearly there was a civilization that was wiped out at some point, I assume,
violently.
in violent, bloody conflict, exactly. So Ilios, don't let the peaceful scenery fool you. This place is only for hardened men only.
And some women.
For gritty warriors all. And yeah, so like the Vikings come down with like their battle-hardened men and women.
Female Hispanic hackers.
Female Hispanic hackers, exactly. That's really the scourge of this Greek Isle. But it is going to be Hong Kong Attitude actually opting in to the Sombra. Mega Thunder going to go with the Widowmaker and already paying off. Doesn't matter that Mango Jai got that big health pack. Apuda wants to put the pressure down, and he's going to be able to do it pretty uncontested for this first bit.
Mango Jai wasn't going to get contested too much on the health pack anyway, so getting the health pack, that's crucial, but also expected. Now for Mega Thunder, they need to convert additional kills, and for Hong Kong Attitude, they already get CQB back, so for all the trouble and for all the advantage that Mega have had, they haven't converted.
Unfortunately, not just yet. Now they're getting pressure onto Raputo as they push out NZNR as well. So yeah, haven't converted, and that's the thing. The pick is decent, but it's not the be-all, end-all, and he didn't get a follow-up one. So now it's still kind of on them to get the pressure in.
You need to see the other members step up here a little bit because Apudo's picked up 2 kills now already. You see Mega Thunder really going in off the advantages that are created, that has the space that Apudo really gives you here from the long sightlines. Mind you, Apudo isn't being challenged by an opposite Widowmaker. It is just him.
That's a great EMP, and already this is the kind of fight they're going to be needing. The controller's all there, good trade kills coming in. Actually, Aputo getting Shailin could be the swing point because they can still get pressure out of Aputo, but again, he's not the ideal DPS to do it, so it should still be Hong Kong Attitude holding on to the point.
And this feels like the opposite of what you would expect from a Widowmaker. Usually the Widowmaker doesn't get this many picks unless his name is Dizzy against flash calls, but even that's a bit of an oddity. You have a situation where usually the Widowmaker gets a couple, but then it's the rest of the team that really does the work. This time around, Aputo gets a lot, to Mega, they don't get anything else.
Yeah, and unfortunately not quite getting the Venom Mine up where he wanted. Shailin's going largely unopposed as well. NZNR not quite able to keep him under control. And already Mango Jai coming in for an EMP, cutting off the body as the head moves the strike, and already looking good in this fight. The last one was kind of even, but held on to because they didn't have the DPSs, Mega, to affect the point. This one is just a straight clean sweep from Hong Kong Attitude.
We're also seeing the other side of Hong Kong Attitude's DPS combo, because last time we saw Shailin on the Genji, Mui was the Tracer. The Sunday value Shailin on the Tracer and Mui on the Genji. Instead, I do like this change up because Shailin has been consistently one of the best Tracers now, and Insana has also had trouble getting into this Hong Kong Attitude side, and it's showing.
Well, this is the go button now with the sound barrier out. They need to convert. Mui's got the Dragon Blade that is currently lacking on Aputo, who's only just swapped. But they've got the opening pick now, and actually getting Randy, if they can kill him before he remakes, indeed they do. That's a big boon for them. And Mui's not getting too much done. Does get Elk and Graceful both, but he trades his own life for it. T2Watt, Aputo, and NZN are still affecting this fight as Shailin's getting pressured out. The self-destruct from White, he's just barely going to remake, and they've got the numbers on the point that they need to start securing this fight and closing it out.
And this now feels like the kind of pressure that Mega Thunder had been looking for the entire 99%, and that's what you got to talk about here, because Hong Kong Attitude have extended their lead all the way into the overtime scenario. Mega Thunder got a long way to catch up here. No matter what Aputo is playing, it does appear he has impact. Now it's up to the rest of Mega Thunder to continue that and get this win and turn it around.
They've got the tools to do it as well. EMP going to come in on top of their own sound barrier, an instant convert onto two members. It's already going south for Mega, and it doesn't look like they have the tools here to save this one. Don't have ultimates that can swing it, and don't really have the presence on the point in terms of sheer numbers. That's going to be a regrab for Hong Kong Attitude, and short of a miracle, I think it's going to be a hold too.
Mega Thunder, no time to really get back onto this as well. Final members, T2Watt just trying to get in there, but jumped a little bit too early, or rather, just didn't have the time anyway. No matter, where he jumps, I think he would have been a struggle. But, you know, at the end of the day, had Mega even touched that point, had the overtime continued, it would have been a struggle regardless. T2Watt likely to have taken down quite quickly. You have to look at the setup there from Hong Kong Attitude to start with. How do they even get to 99%? That's the bigger issue for Mega Thunder.
Yeah, exactly. And because they had the late swap onto the Genji out of Aputo, they didn't really have time to get a Dragon Blade up or anything like that. And the thing is, had he had that earlier, but been losing those same fights when he was on the Widowmaker, he probably would have had the Dragon Blade when they were defending the point itself. So sometimes it's just those little changes, those little things.
And it's interesting because even despite not having Dragon Blade, Aputo was getting kills, he was getting counter trades. Mui had the Dragon Blade, and they were going toe-to-toe. So for Mega, they were getting the work done, but not soon enough. This time Aputo starts on the Genji, maybe we'll see a different story.
Yeah, and you certainly don't get those same sightlines for the Widowmaker on this map. No Pharahs, though, on Well. We have been seeing a good amount of that, but the first pick is Graceful, and Mui instant convert. That's big pressure from Hong Kong Attitude. Mega gonna have to try and retreat the members that are still on this point. NZNR taking the gentleman's way out.
And all members that do survive, which were Insana and White, do exactly go straight back into spawn. For Mega Thunder, no opportunity to get return trades. That's ultimately what you do want if you're in a losing position. You want to take some of the Hong Kong Attitude members down with you. That's just not going to happen this time around. The Hong Kong Attitude, once again, comfortably going to sit in the lead, at least for the time being.
The saving grace for Mega is they're not actually too far behind, despite the good number of kills that Hong Kong Attitude got. So they're still in this position where some good solo kills can just flip the fight in their favor. But it's Hong Kong Attitude getting the pressure on once again out of Mui especially. And without those healers there, the rest of Mega can't really do much. Yeah, they get the cap through, but Shailin's still kind of on this. Hong Kong Attitude are going to get the cap back anyway, given that Aputo was too low to contest a whole lot. So, I mean, look, they stall a little bit of time that Hong Kong Attitude would have had, but that was a lost fight.
It definitely was a lost fight, but again, if you are going to lose a fight, you need to look for the saving graces here, and the consolation prize was the fact that the cap went over. That's 10% on Mega Thunder's board, and 10% that Hong Kong Attitude do not get. They will slow things down, give Mega Thunder an opening, and certainly getting a kill on Shailin as well. well, who has been a big factor in these fights, is going to set Mega Thunder on the path of victory.
Quick Dragon Blade from Mui, but he actually pulled it out before he had targets. Now he's trying to run and find Elk, and he's probably not going to be able to do so with that Discord Orb. Maputo closes out on him as he goes in for the retreat. Bit of a whiff from Mui there, but over-eager as it were. CQB good bump kill onto Titawat, but Maputo's still in this fight. Has his own Dragon Blade now to close it out if they need to, but it doesn't. Oh, actually, no, they are going to need to now as Shylin starts to bite back. They need to commit ultimates if they want to turn this around, but they're opting not to. They're just going to let Hong Kong Attitude have this, and that's kind of dangerous.
That's very unexpected from Mega Thunder because they had the ultimate to play with there as well. Apuda killing Mui after a whiff Dragon Blade. That's a really good start. Getting a kill as well onto Shylin. Really good start, but where's the follow-up from Mega? This was the question that was asked onto Ruins. Last time it was Apuda getting the kills, Mega not picking up the rest of the kills. This time around, it does look like a repeat.
Apudo needs to get mileage out of this Dragon Blade. They've got all the ultimates they need. If they can't do it now, they're never going to be able to do it, mind you. But they also need to preserve enough for their own defense. Ooh, nearly getting the quick pick onto Shylin. Would have been a nice opener. But now he knows the recall isn't there. He goes aggressive. Sound barrier from CQB is good. They catch Apudo in the self-destruct, but they have gone 1-for-1 in terms of the Genjis. Mega, though, have more ultimates at their disposal still, even as the Pulse Bomb goes wide from NZNR. Titawat still pressuring to point out, and that's the conversion that they're going to be able to get off the back of that pressure now. They need to get the grab through, and Hong Kong Attitude are looking to try and stall this one out, but I don't know that that's necessary. They're already at 99%, and they've only given Mega more ult charge.
You sort of mentioned in a previous fight, but Mega Thunder, they had the ultimates to play with, at least to get this camp over, but what do they have now to maintain this defense? Because you need some extra gas in the tank, you need some more ammunition in your clip as well. So for Mega Thunder, they're holding on to two. Elk and White, those are their options, and they need to extend this into further leads to actually get this into a camp back.
The good thing for them is that Hong Kong Attitude don't have their ultimates just yet, but Hong Kong Attitude can just wait until they've got their ultimates, and they'll be safe to do so as well. Mango Jai, though, getting aggressive on, oh, but the save there from the Diva of Randy is huge, and now Mega numerical disadvantage means they have to sound barrier just to hold out. They get a counter trade, that's important. Nice pick onto Shylin as well, and Mui pressured out the side for 1 HP. Doesn't matter that he didn't die, actually finally goes down on the end anyway. He was pressured out of the fight regardless, so that's kind of splitting hairs, but Mega hold on from what was a very rough start.
That's an important hold as well, as Graceful now gets up his own ultimate. So far, at least on the support side of things, you're going to have a defensive ultimate in every single fight. That's going to be important because Hong Kong Attitude have been building. They've been waiting, and this is now their time to strike. Expect Mui to pull out another Dragon Blade. You will hope, though, that they don't whiff this one.
Yeah, you certainly hope he finds the supports, and he's eyeballed them. He knows where they're at, but now he's been spotted himself very low. Needs to be careful as he goes for this play here, wanting to pull out the Dragon Blade. But as that's all happening, as he's taking his time, Apudo's putting on the pressure. Mango Jai, early Transcendence, was matching Graceful's one. That's the ultimate now out from Mui, and he gets the ones that he needs. Got Apudo in the mix too, but NZNR is still in this, can affect this, and Titawat and White can commit the tank ultimates. Randy's already used the self-destruct to no effect, and NZNR getting the work done. Titawat as well, and they're now at their own 99%. Hong Kong Attitude getting buffeted back, and the few ultimates that Mega still had in the back pocket are all the ultimates they need to convert the point, and looking like they're going to tie this one up 1-1 now.
And Mango Jai is about to go down as well. Shylin's already out of the fight. Solo sound barrier and
Fine
CQB.
time.
Where have we seen this one before? And Hong Kong Attitude, they're struggling to stay into this. Now they're just feeding members on, and Mega, they can smell their victory. They're so close to it. And for Hong Kong Attitude, might just be time to reset as we're about to head into stage number 3.
Yeah, it seems to be the way to go. They are stalling it out for as long as possible, trying to give themselves every opportunity to turn it around, but they're never actually going to be able to turn it around. That's the reality of the situation, and Mega consistently closing that out when it counted. And that was a real great recovery from being 0 to 99, and well, rather 10% to 99, and then pulling it back the way they did, winning a lot of fights from a disadvantage.
It's an important victory there for Mega Thunder as well, because otherwise it would have been a 2-0 shutout on Ilios. They need that map win to at least show that they have the capability to stand up to Hong Kong Attitude. Make sure that you're keeping Hong Kong Attitude honest here. Don't let them get away with silly plays, making sure that they are respected in this matchup. But certainly if you're Hong Kong Attitude, you cannot be complacent. Mega Thunder can actually win this.
And this is now neck and neck, and I think very deservedly so, but technically it's Mega Thunder kind of on the upswing themselves now, being able to pull that one back, looking better every single fight that comes out. So let's see if they can now close it out when it counts, or whether it's Hong Kong Attitude's execution.
Both teams running the exact same thing here, so it's going to be blow for blow. Both teams want to match each other here in this mirror matchup.
This is good. Pressure being exerted by Mega, but quick D-mech of White is very unfortunate. Only one trade kill coming in the form of Mui, but that takes the DPS off the table. So if Aputo and NZNR can get pressure, unfortunately no such luck as Shylin, not going to give them that kind of breathing space. Now they get priority on the point itself. It's on Mega to contest it.
Mega Thunder losing NZNR so far. You have to really look at the two Tracer players here. Shylin has been on top of NZNR for the most case. NZNR though has had a couple of good moments, but not as many good moments as Shylin. Where Hulk and Attitude have been beaten down is when Aputo gets the opening kill into Shylin. Otherwise, Shylin has a great time.
And they've got the ultimates just about coming up as well. Mega are close to a fair few that could really swing it though, notably that Dragon Blade. And if Aputo can get that out quickly, they can really convert. Good follow-up on the Shylin. They don't quite get the closeout though, and that leaves Aputo too deep, so no such Dragon Blade. And now they're desperately trying to pull back these tanks so they can top them off. Good follow-up by T2 actually, low as he was to close out that kill. Now they've kind of bought themselves some breathing space. They want to get aggressive now that Aputo's rejoining.
Mega Thunder, NZNR going down early and loses the pulse bomb as well, so you have used an ultimate now. At least everyone else on the Mega Thunder side is alive. Put up the Dragon Blade.
They're on the point.
Probably commit this.
This is the key moment now because they've got priority on the point. They're the ones who are able to get that from under Hong Kong Attitude. A Ting very late commit on the Primal Rage just so that he didn't lose his life. But honestly, what's the point? He's going to buy a little bit extra time on the point itself, but I mean 10% for one ultimate. I don't know if that's worth it. Mega, very nicely executed. That was all positioning.
Mega this time around do not allow Hong Kong Attitude to get a 99% lead. 60% of the Hong Kong Attitude side. It's a lot more manageable for Mega, who are still catching up. It is a problem that Mega are consistently having to catch up on this Ilios so far, but at least now they're in a much better position to do so. Many more ults than they have in previous occasions. They've made a victory work with less resources. This time they have the resources to work with. What can they get done?
And playing catch-up but still winning is just as good as winning outright. They'd be happy to take it, but Aputo pressured out, needs to be careful, able to just pull back a little bit. Mui gets the follow-up, but now he needs to be careful to not overextend. Mega have to commit ultimates, though, to stay in this fight. And now Mui's just going to hold back, wait for the moment to go on the Dragon Blade, as Mega do have to use a lot of ultimates. That's a great pulse bomb to shut down Mui as the Sand Barrier came out for Hong Kong Attitude. They've yet to actually get on the point. NZNR just doing all this work in this fight. Now Shylin not able to get anything much done himself. Waiting for the team to come back in, but not quite closing out the kills once again. Mega still in control of the point.
Both support ultimates were used by Hong Kong Attitude as well, so this was pretty expensive, at least in terms of attack. Mega Thunder now overtaking Hong Kong Attitude in terms of progress. Aputo still getting the kills, waiting for Mui to get this Dragon Blade in there. And Hong Kong Attitude, you can't wait too long.
It could be a big Dragon Blade, but it could get shut down before he can even get in as well. He goes on to Graceful. Oh, gets NZNR in the catch as he was trying to retreat to safety. But Aputo's own Dragon Blade now, low as he may be, can still get work done. No, he cannot. A Ting good closeout there. They're going to be able to push this past that 90% mark, which will be a saving grace. But I think Mega just need to let this one go now.
Eventually they're going to have to, because Hong Kong Attitude do overpower them. It's just Alcon here now. The rest of Mega starting to respawn. Now you're in the sort of position where you need to wait for these respawners. Just regroup with your team. NZNR is going to force this as far as he can. We should be heading towards the 99, and just we do.
Yeah, it's a good push for Mega to get it up to that point. Very expensive for them, though, and they don't really have the opportunity to lose a fight and then come back for one. What they do have, though, is support ultimates.
And certainly Hong Kong Attitude also have the same support ultimates now coming up as well. So for Mega Thunder, this is going to be an important fight, mind you. This is the final stage that we can go on to for Ilios. So one fight, major fight and everything. Shylin losing pulse bomb early gives Mega a chance.
Great catch by White, but Graceful is to commit an early transcendence so that the team can get to the point, but they convert. Now it's go time. Mui getting pressured out by Aputo, the sound barrier out from both, and Mui on the cusp of losing his life, but NZNR still putting in the groundwork as Mui's busy on the side. That's a huge string of kills from Mega. It's not even going to be 99 to 99 because Hong Kong Attitude won't quite hold on to it that long. And Mega Thunder, they may have had to do it from behind. They may have had to play catch-up. But like I said, playing catch-up and winning is mighty fine for Mega Thunder.
Mighty fine. Get that win onto the board now as well. A 2-1 victory on Ilios. It's nothing to really laugh about. They had some very critical moments there. We do have to be quite concerned for the team consistently being behind Hong Kong Attitude, consistently better in that early game, able to find the early game picks, able to get the positioning, able to get the camp, and a lot of progress at that. This was probably the best showing from Mega Thunder so far. because this was the one where Hong Kong Attitude only made it to 60% instead of the regular 99%.
Hong Kong Attitude went into that fight with an ultimate advantage at the very end there, which was pretty incredible to say the least, right? The fact that Mega Thunder were able to overcome that. Even in defensive ultimates, look, sure they were able to eat Shailin's Pulse Bomb. I mean, sometimes the Pulse Bomb just doesn't even connect anyway. That's significant, but it's not totally game-changing. It was just the man-to-man execution and NZNR closing it out. And speaking of closing it out, with that, they secure themselves the first map of the series of Ilios, putting themselves 1-0 up on the board. And I talked about how important that one was going to be to start them off.
You have to talk about the trend in which Mega Thunder did it as well. The fights that they really won, the fights where they had a really good shot at, were the ones where Puro specifically picks out Shailin. Let's take a look at the replay now. We might see an example that so far we're on to well, and Hong Kong Attitude already won up after winning Ruins.
And they were off to a good start in this as well. I mean, purely from a positional standpoint, they outmaneuvered Mega Thunder. There's no two ways about that. And you see that even just in the order of kills there. The fact that it's the supports that go down and also Aputo, who at that point was hanging back, waiting for targets to reveal themselves, should tell you all you need to know. The fact that it's the divers who are the ones who go down last, I mean, they just got a complete wraparound. Really, it was just a good read by Hong Kong Attitude.
And the next fight as well, the same thing more or less happens. Graceful and Elk, the first targets to go down. No real counter trays from Aputo and the rest of his squad on the Mega Thunder side, and they just couldn't really get anything done. But partway through that, eventually you get a scenario Aputo does get counter trays. Mui whiffs a Dragon Blade. Shailin goes down to Aputo very early. They have some very good fights, and it wasn't until the end at 99%. That's when it was the turnaround for Mega Thunder. In fact, they had that really sneaky cap in the middle where they bought themselves 10%. And actually, even that 10% really helps us take a look now as we're already past that point. 10% gone. That's the open kill into Puro that we're talking about here. And this is where you expect Mega Thunder to really get a lot of mileage because Shailin has been one of the bigger problems for this team so far. Here comes Mui though, Dragon Blade already in Shailin. By the way, he is respawning, so looking for some kills out of Mui. So far, not finding anything. Does get shut down by Aputo. Aputo does use Dragon Blade later on here as well, but I don't know if he gets anything done with that.
And the troublesome thing for Mega Thunder here is they actually get off to a really great start, but suddenly Hong Kong Attitude, they get these respawns in. Look, they got an early pick on Shailin. Mui found nothing with the Dragon Blade. They had no resources except for that Primal Rage. They had the self-destruct that could make space, and then NZNR did the Pulse Bomb that he was able to bring back to the fight, but you feel like they shouldn't have got the opportunity to use those. I wanted to see Mega Thunder just put on the pressure a little bit more quickly. Now, to their credit, after that, they were then able to put on pressure when they needed to, and that is why they ultimately won. We'll see that now, hopefully coming up in this replay. Actually, we won't, because this is at the top of Lighthouse, where actually it was same situation. Hong Kong Attitude just came out the top. The execution was cleaner out the gate.
You already see a couple of return trades though, so immediately this is a better fight for Mega Thunder. Despite not winning this, T1 getting the first kill into Mui, at least for his own team, that's a very good start for them. And the rest of Mega Thunder actually managed to get out alive after losing 2 members. Hong Kong Attitude prioritizing the cap itself. Can't blame them for that. You do want to get an early cap, but for Mega Thunder, they get to lick their wounds, and that's not something they've had. That's not something they've managed to do on any of the other 2 stages.
Yeah, and that was actually part of the difference there as well. Every single time before that, Hong Kong Attitude had got priority on the point. They'd won the opening skirmish, created the pressure, had the positioning, and got the cap. That's just how it all goes. But you're completely right. Unlike every other time, Mega Thunder got the opportunity to re-aggress. And here's what they do with that, right? They held out for a really long time once they had it in their favor, could afford to lose a fight, and this was all execution. The early pick onto Shailin, then Mui was just held up, honestly, by Aputo. He would have been too low to affect the fight anyway, and in that time, the rest of Mega Thunder is able to collapse 5 versus 4 with ultimates in their favor, with DPS that at that point Hong Kong Attitude were lacking. It's not surprising how it went from that point, but getting those quick picks on the DPSs is what did it for Mega Thunder.
And it's important to note that for Mega Thunder as well, towards the end of the series, you look at the start of Ilios, you look at Ruins, Aputo on the Widowmaker, got some good kills, but where was the follow-up? Then you went into Well, suddenly that follow-up started to appear, and as soon as we got to Lighthouse, that's when they were fully going for it. Shailin going down straight away, and then a huge string of kills from Mega Thunder. That's exactly the kind of follow-up that you like to see from the team, and that's why they won.
Exactly. I mean, that's exactly it. And when we say executing when it counts, that's exactly the kind of thing we mean, right? When they needed to get specifically those picks in specifically that kind of timing to take those ultimates off the table to create the numerical advantages, they do. Hong Kong Attitude, on the other hand, didn't play conservatively enough to keep those members alive when it counted, didn't commit the ultimates that could have rescued the fight before those members went down, didn't actually execute when it counted, and it shows in the map score. But now Hong Kong Attitude getting their pick on Hybrid, going to take us to Hollywood, a map they are absolutely loving here in Season 2. Let's see if they can even it up.
Hong Kong Attitude have picked Hollywood probably the most times of any team so far into Season 2.
They just want to be a movie star.
Really favour this map. A lot of teams like to go to Kings Road. We've seen a little bit of Nimbani, but only Hong Kong Attitude specifically always like to go to Hollywood if possible.
Like I said, they got a dream. Like they got a dream. They want to be a star.
I want to win OPC Season 2.
I'm telling you, I'm gonna move to the West Coast and I'm gonna be a star. I don't know. Well, I mean, if that's the dream, they're kind of going about it wrong. Like they're going all in on esports. That's not the right way to break into.
For most people, for every other non-Taiwanese team, and I guess that kind of counts for Hong Kong Attitude. There's a decent number of members from Hong Kong. You're moving to Taipei, and you're going to be a star.
I'm going to be a star, I tell you. You got that star power, kid. You could make it big, I tell you. You could make it big. Well, let's see if Hong Kong Attitude
Sounds like
can.
something in the 50s.
Yeah. You got a great voice,
Silver
kid.
screen, right?
Got a great voice. You could have done radio, but I tell you what, radio's dead. You know what killed it? The moving pictures. Well, and here we are at the moving pictures in Hollywood. What a place to be. But look, in terms of actually coming up big, being a star, yeah, look, this is now Hong Kong Attitude's opportunity to actually even up the series. But more importantly, they kind of need to even up the series. Look, it's one thing to drop that map when it's Mega Thunder's pick, when it's Ilios, which they're really favored on, and it was actually close, all things considered. It would be another thing to then lose Hollywood to them, especially when it's their pick. Now, Mega Thunder do feel they're a little weaker on these momentum-based maps. Certainly that was evident in their matchup against Matchy last night. They still won that series on the whole, though, so that's the other thing Hong Kong Attitude have to face. This is just them trying to even up the score.
Hong Kong Attitude already, you want to compare the series as well. Hong Kong Attitude played Machi last week. That was a 3-0 victory. We talk about the fact that Mega Thunder need to have a stronger showing than Machi, who they've already beaten themselves, and now they've got that one map win onto the board. It does sort of look like it may unfold out to be very similar to the AHQ versus Flash Wolves story, which does go on to say the team that picks their own map does win. Mega Thunder looked pretty good, at least kind of shaky, but I'm expecting big things now from Hong Kong Attitude on Hollywood, as it is their pick, and we know why they like to pick it.
And part of that is the Sombra. Going to be movie on that. Not going to run a triple DPS. I feel like they can pull this one off, and I would tend to agree. Let's see how Aputo's Genji fares.
It has been the Tracer Genji gameplay from Mega Thunder so far in the second round robin. This is what they're favoring. It has been rather successful. Now this is their biggest test, so they need to make sure they can continue that line of success.
Successfully, speaking of, covering their own setup and instantly onto the point. Now pressure is on Hong Kong Attitude to contest it. Aputo, no one's really answering him, and they're getting great pressure onto Mui, who is a long way away from this EMP. This is the key fight for them to win if they want to get the EMP economy up, but they're not winning it. They're doing the other thing instead, and Aputo going largely uncontested. Finally, the trade kill coming in as Shaolin getting into the thick of it to do some work. Mui's got a bit of a long walk back, ends it in a little bit up a creek without a paddle, though, with the healers already gone, and Hong Kong Attitude look like they're just going to scrape by on the back of Shaolin.
And despite Aputo picking up a decent number of kills, Randy and Shaolin, the rest of the tanks as well, a team coming in, Hong Kong Attitude managed to hold on. Guess Mui went down early, CQB as well, but it's not enough for Hong Kong Attitude to really lose that cap. And in fact, Mega Thunder don't even get 1/3. That's a heartbreaker.
Really is, and now that EMP economy can get underway, Mui getting this stimulus package there, already at 80%. That's going to be a factor now that Mega are always going to have to be aware of.
By the way, that was also a very long fight. We were already more than a minute off the table for Mega Thunder. Still looking for a bit of progress here, still looking for the opening picks.
Great pick.
But it's going to be Mui getting it instead.
Good trade kill onto Shaolin, but that's just the opportunity to now commit the EMP and close the door on Mega so that they don't get anything more than that one counter trade. Mangodry had to use the Transcendence, I don't know. The E-Transcendence, he emailed it, he said it online. He is a robot, so I don't know, it's electronic transcendence, but they saved the fight with it. Does mean they use up one extra resource though.
That's actually not bad from Mega Thunder, considering that you did have to force it out from Mango Giant. Now Mango Giant and the rest of Hong Kong Attitude do not have the support ultimates to hold on to this. EMP is off the table as also for Mega Thunder. This is their best shot.
Yeah, this is a good window for them. They still have to close out. It's that same thing of execution when it counts, and they're actually running out of time. Aputo, good open though. Gets 2 as well, my goodness. He's just like, all right, it's time to win the game. Doesn't quite close out on Shailin, but they pressured him off the point anyway, and NZNR is going to do the honors. The double self-destruct is just kind of going to create space for both of these teams. But Mega Thunder are the ones on the point itself with the kills. Now it's just about occupying the space they've gained. A team going to try and stall. I certainly don't blame them, but this fight is looking as good as closed out for Mega Thunder. The trade kills have not been there for Hong Kong Attitude for them to recover the fight, except for that one just barely at the end on Graceful. But now a Ting's going to lose this life. This will be a cap through. Hong Kong Attitude going to be very lean for ultimates at the top of the streets phase.
Yeah, finally as well, Mui might even get cleaned up by Puto if he's not really careful here, but Mega Thunder, they got a bigger string of kills here, a lot off the back of Puto once more, so Puto is doing the bulk of the carrying for the team at least so far. For Hong Kong Attitude for the first time, because they didn't get the return trades, as mentioned, they weren't able to hold on to A.
I've always wanted to see the set of Westworld.
This EM's pretty big. Yeah. I feel like you need a bigger set.
Yeah, we're going to need a bigger set. Anyway, moving with this EMP is all they really need to stabilize, but not looking good off the top with Mango Jai getting picked. They get White Smack, but if that's all they get, that's not really much of a conversion. It's more pressure out.
Protection.
Translocates back to the same place. They do only have that one pick on the Diva, and this means Mega are able to keep momentum on their side.
Well played by Mega so far, and by the way, the ultimates are online for Mega. They can choose to use these at nearly any time, but the progress now, most important. The card movement is most important. Randy's going to get a pick off the T1, so that will slow things down, and Mega, they should probably look to reset here now.
Yeah, that was really great pressure from Hong Kong Attitude, actually kind of stole the priority on the fight, stole the impetus, I suppose, and they just kind of cut off Mega, who were fishing for the ultimates that could just keep the momentum on their side.
And by the way, a Ting used the Primal Rage there as well, while Mega Thunder were already looking to fall out. So for Mega Thunder, they're probably quite happy to take that ultimate off the table now. But Mega Thunder still now pushing in. They have a lot more ultimates coming online. You're about to hit 5. You're nearly on 6 as well. Mui's got to come up big with the EMP. Otherwise, Mega Thunder should be looking to win the next fight.
Yeah, and this isn't even enough fight that either team could honestly take it. It's all going to be down once again to execution, which is where Hong Kong Attitude have kind of struggled a little bit tonight. It's a good EMP, but it doesn't quite catch all the members here with the sound barrier on, and Aputo not finding much with the Dragon Blade, but the space has been created. That's what's going to count. Shailin, nice pulse bomb, but all it does is force a self-destruct out of White, and the kills are coming up. Mega Thunder. Randy going to create space with his own self-destruct, but space for whom? Shailin is still in this fight, but he's getting closed out on. Mui is too low to get into it either, and honestly, Ting and Randy don't have the damage to really deal with the high momentum going on here. Mega Thunder do get stalled up for a while, but it's going to get back underway once again, and they still have ultimates they can use for the next fight.
And they're cleaning up a decent number of kills here. Second EMP out from Mui, so that's very quick from him, but where's the follow-up? Hong Kong Attitude, yes, you used the EMP. Shailin not getting killed to a Bruto. This might be good enough, but we're not seeing any more kills come up. NZNI still into the fight. The rest of Mega definitely still in here. You need a bigger string if you want to stop them.
Maybe NZNI needed to be a little bit further back. T1 and White were getting topped off well by Elk and Graceful, who had been staying fairly safe for the most of that. Shailin had a real uphill battle to convert off that EMP, but that was really big from Hong Kong Attitude to kind of pull it back, basically off just Mui and Shailin.
And Mega Thunder, they kind of got stopped up because the EMP was kind of 50-50 on its effectiveness. Mega Thunder didn't really die that quickly. It was Aputo dying first that really set the stage, but now it's return time. Sound barrier already used out. This time you got no EMP.
Yeah, they don't have these resources though themselves here, Mega Thunders. They've just got to convert off the sound barrier, and they do. Of course they do the moment I say that. The pressure is just great from this diving trio here, and a Ting does ult to buy time. Look, last time they altered to buy time, they were able to turn it back around. Don't know if the same can be said this time.
I'll have to see, because Mango Giant also does have a Transcendence himself, so Mega Thunder, they're running pretty low on ultimates. Aputo and NZNI going to pick it up pretty soon, but EMP comes out already. This is now the play from Hong Kong Attitude.
It's a quick EMP, yeah, but they haven't actually closed out yet. Good Transcendence, though, to buy them space and time. Aputo trying to convert off the Dragon Blade, but no such luck. Quick closeouts by a Ting as the pressure just becomes too much for Mega Thunder to bear under that EMP. NZNR is going to fight to the last. Actually, it's not even NZNR, it's Elk. Shailin doesn't need to fight to the last. Still got plenty of support. Self-destruct for style points and 105.98, actually. will be the distance for Mega Thunder to hold at.
It's not bad distance because they nearly made it up to B, but they didn't complete the map. And Hong Kong Attitude, probably a little bit expected from their camp as well because they're a very good defensive team on Hollywood. In fact, they just got on Hollywood altogether. That now puts a lot of pressure onto Mega Thunder. They need to make a really good defensive hold. A is where they're going to make their money. And if they can't really do it on A, B doesn't look really good. They need to bleed out as much time on A so they can make B holdable. And at best case scenario, they actually just hold A completely. But it's a tall order.
I mean, look, they can do it. They are able to do something like that. We saw that specifically on Watchpoint Gibraltar against Machi last night. I mean, it's Escort instead of Hybrid, but same kind of theory, right? You're just kind of holding a point on top of that. They've got the defensive capability. They also do have the offensive capability to get this further than what they did. So I think that still has to be considered as well. This is going to be, it's doable, but it's going to be tough for Mega Thunder.
It's going to be incredibly tough. Mui did a great job generally with the Sombra play. Didn't really get caught out all that often.
You know what I mean, Tracer.
And a lot of Mega's attack, especially on A, where they were successful, even when they didn't really get the cap, but they had a good shot at it, was off the back of Aputo getting a large string of kills. He was one that really opened up things. It looked kind of like Ilios, to be honest. Aputo, once again, the player that really has to initiate first, get the initial kills, really try and snowball that fight. But when that wasn't happening, and that was the majority of B, Aputo wasn't finding that success again, that's when Hong Kong Attitude were getting their big wins.
Now it's going to be on the defense for Mega Thunder. They were actually losing Mui early on the point A defense quite a lot, but even then bled quite a lot of time out of Mega Thunder. So Mega Thunder really need to do the same here, opting into their own Sombra. But Mui's going to be pulling out the McCree.
It's going to be dangerous for Aputo because you can't play too aggressively against Mui, especially against Mui's McCree. We've already seen exactly what he can do on this character, and it has been very effective. A lot of Sombras and a lot of Tracers have felt those headshots.
Do you have any idea what I'm capable of? Yes, I have an exactly perfect idea. That's kind of the situation between
exactly. That is so close. And now for Aputo, well timed. As soon as he saw that Mui was looking at him, immediately translocates out. Enzai getting the first pick onto Shine.
Good.
This does give Mega a lot of space. I hope that Mega can actually accomplish a lot on Get because they need to actually convert extra kills before Hong Kong Attitude can really retreat, but they've already done that.
Yeah, Hong Kong Attitude sensed the pressure was about to come. So good job retreating before the dive came in from Mega because they were about to gear up for it. So Hong Kong Attitude don't get routed. They can come back in for another attack without losing too much time.
And important for Mega Thunder to have a good lead here. They got that one kill, but they couldn't get anything else. Here comes Aputo once again. If he gets flashbang, it's really bad.
Oh, the flashbang goes wide though as NZNR closes out. They do get the trade and pressure is big onto the back line. But these are very deep members of Hong Kong Attitude, and their own backline is getting torn to bits. But now the wraparound going to come in as they deal with the tanks. Aputo taken out and NZNR pressured off. That's the execution Hong Kong Attitude needed. A nicely handled fight there, picking off the backliners and just barely being able to rejoin the fight in time.
Yeah, it's not impossible for Mega to come back into here. They do have an EMP. The biggest problem
They probably
with their
should.
Well, I don't think they are anymore because the time has run out. You do see the silhouettes as well. They're holding up for B. They want a good B defense. The win condition, the objective was, though, you need to shave off a lot of time on A, and I don't believe they shaved off nearly enough time. Certainly, they didn't even have a fight where Aputo got to use an EMP on A itself.
Now they've got the EMP as their only significant tool to stall up. Aputo's going to have to place this one really well.
We've seen Mui do exactly that. So if Mui can do it, you expect Aputo to get the same sort of result. Grace will pick up the Manga Jai. You might want to try and, again, get additional kills here, but Hong Kong Attitude, they retreat so well, they fall back so cleanly, and Mega Thunder, despite getting these initial pickups, they don't get the extra kills.
The good thing for that, though, is that means they didn't need to use the EMP. They can get some other ultimates up. Hong Kong Attitude get to charge some of their own, but now this is looking like a more of an equalizing EMP rather than one to try and save it. Indeed should be. Has been spotted out, but there's the commit. Now, very low. Didn't have the translocator set up right for that one, but he's not going to go down. The conversion hasn't been there off the EMP. That's a flashbang headshot onto NZNR. And good heavens, would you look at the time, going to refill the clip with that as T2Watt dives in, doesn't get a chance to Primal Rage, and the momentum is going to carry on for Hong Kong Attitude.
So well played by Hong Kong Attitude all the way around. You look at CQD first, he saved his sound barrier, made sure he wasn't going to be in the EMP. You do have to kind of look at Aputo as well, though, because he telegraphed the EMP, he revealed his positioning, didn't use the EMP straight away. CQB had time to use the counter sound barrier, then NZNR came in, and Mui, flashbang headshot straight away, no chance for the Tracer player.
positioning here by Mui as well. Just hanging back. Aputo has swapped off the Sombra. They're actually committing to a very early fight here with the sound barrier. They're trying to get some kills on the front line before they can retreat, but now the retreat's coming. Good pulse bomb. Connects onto Mui. That's a great pickup. White throwing out the self-destruct, but T2What goes down in the mix there, so this is kind of an iffy fight for Mega. They haven't actually closed out the kills I think they were hoping for, and now it's a little bit on the edge, right? They need to convert some kills quickly, and Aputo's going to go in for it, but he could go down for it as well. Ends it in with the follow-up though, and they make it work. Mui will get one in return, but it's only one in return. Mega are actually going to force a retreat out of Hong Kong Attitude, but man, they really had to fight for it.
And that felt so risky from Aputo, and in fact, he takes a very late death against Randy, so now you're going to wait for that respawn. Mega Thunder already don't really have the time to be waiting too long. Can't really dislodge Mui from this high ground as well. In fact, he's just going to roll straight off the roof, looking for a lot of kills here, getting a D-Mac onto White, just barely misses the flashbangers off, but so much damage from Hong Kong Attitude, so many threats for Mega to contend with.
I mean, they've closed out the kill on White anyway. They used the Transcendence so that they could safely do that, and Aputo pressured out now. This is that pressure underway, the momentum. Mui a little bit far forward as he channeled the Deadeye, but NZNR going to get traded back with Shylin just frankly doing more work, and a Ting safely retreating means again, Hong Kong Attitude have the momentum, but Mega now can start to convert. They've got the ultimates to do so out of the DPS. The sound barrier is good from CQB, but they haven't actually got much more out of it. They haven't converted their own kills. Aputo needs to get more than just one, though, and this is so back and forth at every single juncture, but a Ting is the one who's going to go wild at the 11th hour of the fight to close out the extra kills, get the payload back on the way, and now it's down to the wire for Mega Thunder.
Our payload on the way is extremely important here because for Mega Thunder, they don't have a lot to play with. Aputo's still on the way back. He just respawned. A lot of kills for Mega Thunder. Their entire team, or rather a lot of kills for Hong Kong Attitude. There are a lot of teammates over there. Mega Thunder now trying to reinforce back onto this car, but it is Hong Kong Attitude in control of the objective itself.
Less than what, just over rather 1 meter left, but no one's ever going to be able to touch Mui at this point. He's too far back, too entrenched on this fight, and Mega Thunder aren't even killing the frontliners. In fact, they're dying as they go to contest the cart. Now, 0.17 meters, it's all but done unless something crazy comes out of Mega Thunder, but with that final kill on T2What, there's going to be no such opportunity to contest, and strong from start to finish from Hong Kong Attitude.
Very dominant display there, very convincing victory all the way around. Yes, there were some stoppages from Mega Thunder. They made it as difficult as they could, but not difficult enough. And for Mui, this was part of his big plays here. He had a lot of really big moments across the entire map, whether that's on Sombra with the EMPs, whether that's on McCree's, and he right at the end there with the Soldier as well, just completely untouched Hong Kong Attitude. They showed us exactly how to play Hollywood, and from Mega Thunder, the King students.
Yeah, just by the way, for those who are wondering, the use of channeling that Deadeye and then insta-canceling it is it does refill your clip, so you can kind of get a maximum efficiency from like shooting out your clip, using the combat roll, shooting out your clip again, then Deadeye, shoot the clip again. You can get a lot of mileage, and when you've got people in your face, often that's what counts. And using those little bits here and there, eking out those little advantages, Hong Kong Attitude do make it count and even up the series now 1-1 on their own pick on Hollywood. Mega Thunder were in this exact situation yesterday against Matchy. They were still able to win that one out, so this isn't too uncomfortable for them, but Hong Kong Attitude can now feel a lot more comfortable themselves having stabilized with that win.
And that's important because Mega Thunder got that first win already, so already take a look at the replays that were on to be here. Going to be in a sort of situation where Aputo does come out with his Dragon Blade, both support ultimates on the Mega side as well. And the EMP came out from Mui just a tad bit earlier. Look for Hong Kong Attitude to really ride this wave for as long as possible. Aputo doesn't get the opening picks. A couple of his other teammates do, however. And there is some decent movement here for the rest of the team, but they need more picks here, and it doesn't appear they get enough.
And the unfortunate thing, on the whole, Mega would generally head in this fight in terms of numbers, also in terms of ultimates, but there were just enough numbers on the side of on the side of Hong Kong Attitude, rather, that they were able to keep the cart largely contested. It got like little bumps forward, but it never got significant distance, and then actually were able to stabilize. And, there was a second EMP that went into the mix there, which is kind of what they stabilized off the back of here. And on the whole, it was just really nicely handled by Hong Kong Attitude to, first of all, give themselves the opportunity to stabilize while also contesting the cart. That's hard to do. It's easy enough to give yourself an opportunity to contest by pulling back, letting the cart move. Easy enough to contest the cart by just kind of sacrificing your lives in it and losing the win condition, losing the opportunity to turn around. So being able to do both in that fight where they were always at a disadvantage was really huge for Hong Kong Attitude.
Yeah, and the EMP, the double EMP play should probably be specific about that as well. Was really big because Mega Thunder didn't expect the second one to come out so soon. Mui did a great job all round in a situation where Hong Kong Attitude were already behind. Now let's take a look at the next replay. This one is going to be on Hong Kong Attitude's attack instead. It's going to be Mui going down first, and this did slow down Hong Kong Attitude somewhat, but the rest of Hong Kong Attitude still managing to get the pickups nonetheless.
And the strength was in the dive here. Mui was never going to be a part of that dive. So what they were actually able to do was pull the DPS forward and then able to dive the backline. As you saw the pincer come in at the end there was no one to stop those tanks, and also Shaolin, by the way, of Hong Kong Attitude to come back onto the point. There were already some members of Mega Thunder around the point that were a little bit split and separated. They hadn't killed the members of Hong Kong Attitude that hadn't been a part of the dive, and on the whole, it was just really nicely done.
And that's Hong Kong Attitude, you know.
It's a chamber. Apparently, Cyber Waste tells me it's a chamber. Well, thank you very much, Cyber Waste. I'm glad you were here to correct my lack of gun knowledge. See, I've never actually shot anyone myself, so frankly, I wouldn't know.
I am Cyber Waste in the Chamber of Secrets. You heard it here first, folks. And that is going to be
letting you in on the secrets.
That is going to be so far 1-1 in the series between the two teams. Looks like a very close series. Hoping for some good action, but OPC Season 2 action does continue right after this break. welcome back to OPC Season 2. We're in the final match of the evening and it's between Mega Thunder and Hong Kong Attitude. 1-1 so far in the series. And this is looking like a tight one at that.
Yeah, and this is off the back of a tight match against AHQ and Flash Wolves, and if we're going to have a bit of a repeat of that scoreline, it would suggest that Mega Thunder get to win it, right? And they have the home side, which means they now get to pick the assault map. We already touched a little bit on kind of where the flow of this matchup has been going and what the potential things mean. Look, on the whole, Mega Thunder getting the first win, very important. Given that Hong Kong Attitude are looking like the stronger team, generally speaking now. Hong Kong Attitude get themselves a bit of a saving grace, but this is still the opportunity for Mega Thunder to push it to match point, like what they did last night against Matchy, and that's the other thing that they carry into this, right? They've been in this exact situation before. They wouldn't actually mind going to Assault, picking up that win, and then you only have to take one of those two favored map types off Hong Kong Attitude, but the thing is, you still have to take one of those map types off Hong Kong Attitude. And first, you do have to win on Assault, which will be Volskaya Industries.
And you talk about the fact that right at the start of the series, before we even got into a single map, the team that has the match point position first is in a definite lead. In terms of the literal sense of it, yes, you are now in a lead because you're threatening to take the win, but also the amount of pressure it puts onto the other team who is behind is definitely severe. Now, we've been to Volskaya before, we've been in this situation. The last time these two teams met, it was Volskaya Industries that was the final nail in the coffin that allowed Mega Thunder to get a 3-0 victory. And how that happened was off the back of Mega Thunder not getting the B cap and Hong Kong Attitude getting the full hold, but then when it's Mega Thunder's turn to hold, they fully held A.
And that's what they can absolutely do here, something they could certainly do again. It would be on Hong Kong Attitude to hold it out. The question I suppose I have, the thing I'm curious to see, it kind of comes more down to the specifics, right? I wonder if Mega Thunder are going to put a Puto onto the Sombra here. I feel like this is one of the maps where they tend to do better running the triple DPS on the defense because of where those health packs lie. And I feel they have a lot of success with that, but they do at least have the flexibility. I'm curious as to which option they'll take.
So the trend has been so far for Mega Thunder to run Elk onto the Soldier here and run a Puto onto the Sombra. So that's generally what this team does do. And of course,
right.
Well, back then it was Moffat, but NZR now will be playing the Tracer. That's the standard that that Mega Thunder like to play it, and I expect them to continue it. Also, the other thing we saw yesterday was Graceful picking up the Genji. So a little bit more flexibility. It's good to know that both of your support players have a DPS off roll.
Yeah, exactly. And no, yeah, you are quite right. It has still been a Puto on the Sombra, but yeah, Elk on that Soldier, and that's something they've pulled out in some other situations as well. But there's still an option that they have, and ideally one I think I'd see them, like to see them take here. And I wouldn't be surprised to see them opt into a defense-first situation as well. So, that, I mean, if you set the the precedent of full holding on A, it's an easy win from there, right? You only got to cap a third.
The other thing we haven't seen from either team yet is the experimentation with the new patch. Mega Thunder has been very confident in just running the Soldier, or not Soldier, but the Tracer and the Genji. We haven't really seen the play with any sort of Junkrats yet. Might see that on Volskaya, maybe not, but it is Mui now going back onto the tried and true. He's been playing Doomfist before the patch, and he'll play Doomfist now.
And I don't blame him. Shaolin as well has been able to pull out a good Doomfist, but they're obviously wanting to specifically run the Doomfist Tracer, not the Doomfist McCree. That's when they've tended to do it the other way around. So Mega also going to be running exactly what we were talking about with Elk on the Soldier. Let's see if they can do that full hold.
And Mega kind of, we're predicting that Hong Kong Attitude were going to try and break through the right side from attacker's perspective, but actually Hong Kong Attitude are going to take the left side approach. Maybe they'll actually just go into cap itself. So for Elk, does have to take time to reposition here. For Mega, reassess their defense slightly.
And Hong Kong Attitude have kind of bamboozled them.
Now they're just doing it anyway.
Now that Mega have had to readjust, Hong Kong Attitude just kind of get a free march around the side.
That's really clever from Hong Kong Attitude. Was a little bit patient. Do notice that 45 seconds is gone, and we haven't had an attack yet. This works in Mega Thunder's. This works in their advantage here. So for Hong Kong Attitude, they need to start the fight sooner rather than later, especially with a Bruno building up charge.
Yeah, they have spent a whole minute for that clever setup here, but now they're putting the pressure on, but it's the first casualties being the support of Hong Kong Attitude, and already the follow-up is there. White going to lose his mech, but he's got plenty of time to reset it if he opts to take a dive now, which I do expect him to do. Randy takes one as well as a show of solidarity. That's going to be the first hold from a Hong Kong Attitude. Sorry, Mega Thunder, rather. That's the one they need to get that EMP up, crucially.
Even a punch from NZR just to close things out onto Shireland. This is something that Mega Thunder weren't able to do on the other maps. They did get a couple of early fight kills, but they never really took the lead. They never really snowballed those kills. This time, though, a lot of Hong Kong Attitude members went down. They all had to respawn together, and they've lost a lot of time.
And now this is, like I said, EMP territory. The saving grace for Hong Kong Attitude is White has not remixed. If they can close out kills quickly, though, here, Mega Thunder, that's not going to matter. Shireland, though, gets the opening kill, and the Pulse Bomb from NZNR connects with nothing. They really need to get an EMP that they then convert on. White has got back in the mech, though. Mooey's looking for something here. They need to be careful here. That is a very low Elk, but an equally low Mooey, and now Elk's able to recover with that biotic field down. He's getting pressured now on the side here, but he can just retreat to the health pack. White loses his mech, but Hong Kong Attitude aren't actually getting enough time on the point for all the pressure they're putting down. That's a big one from CQB, though. Little follow-up could come out now of this EMP. He throws it out, but NZNR's too low to follow it up. He got Mango Jai, but he's struggling to get more done, and Mega still have a long way to walk if they want to keep contesting this point. They're going to try and make it happen for themselves. T2Watt with the Primal Rage is a marker of that. But there's these resources here from Hong Kong Attitude to just close the fight out now, and suddenly Mega Thunder may get snowballed on.
And Shireland got a big string of kills there that was so effective, and you're looking for this Oputo EMP the entire time. By the time it finally comes out, it was a big letdown, a huge anti-climax. Nothing really came of it. You said it yourself. NZR, no way to really take advantage of it. T2Watt as well, he tried, but he couldn't convert the damage. And for Mega, so many players still respawning, they just couldn't get the job done.
Mooey?
He's just really keen. He's really interested.
Hey, he did get a Puto, so I suppose all's well that ends well, and they get the reinforcement out of the Transcendence. And it's actually not enough defensive ultimates from Mega here to stabilize easily, but they're going to do it with the DPS instead. Happy to take that one because they drew a lot of ultimates out of Hong Kong Attitude. Absolutely no snowball, not even a third going to be capped. Good hold from Mega Thunder. That was the crucial one.
They got a lot of kills here. They made sure they got a lot of advantage there. For Mooey, did get a little bit over eager. Spent most of the Dragon Blade finding nothing. In fact, we expected him to get 0 kills. The fact that he got 1 kill, that was a surprising. That was a good surprise for Hong Kong Attitude, but ultimately not enough to get them any sort of count progress. Not enough to actually swing that fight in any significant way. Graceful now picking up the Doomfist, and Elk going back on support. So both these support players just kind of swapping places.
Yeah, this is a little bit different. It is because they're valuing the AoE healing when they're all kind of more clustered on the point itself. Fudo nearly at that EMP, and that's what Hong Kong Attitude are going to have to contend with now.
Again, you do have to look at the situation on A. It took Pudo a long time to get EMP. When it finally came down, it was a bit of a letdown. So this time around, you do expect a lot more from the EMP, and certainly a lot more from the rest of Mega to take advantage of the EMP.
One thing though is Aputo needs to be kind of all over the place so that he can keep these health packs maintained, because with the single healer, they lose a bit of that healing. But that's good aggression on Samui. They don't quite get the closeout, but they force him out of the fight anyway as NZNR converts one on the back line. And again, that's already Hong Kong Attitude in retreat. Mega can't get any further follow-up kills, which is a little unfortunate, but happy to burn time off the clock.
And definitely going to work towards their advantage as well, burning a lot of time. And Hong Kong Attitude took a long time, by the way, on A, so they've already lost that additional time of capping out A. 3 minutes and 15 left. You're definitely into the B time now. Less than 4 minutes is what we're talking about here. You do have ultimates to work with, so for Hong Kong Attitude, this has to be a big push. You have to get a lot of progress here, otherwise you go for a big reset and you lose everything.
This is the one they've been looking for. Aputo catching the column as they make the move and instantly converts onto Mango Jai. That is exactly the kind of EMP you want to land, and they don't get to use any ultimates of their own Hong Kong Attitude. Mega did commit a little bit extra than maybe they needed, but again, all's well that ends well.
It's a good good retreat from Hong Kong Attitude, and I guess a crude way of saying it, because they all retreated by sort of suiciding off the edge. 3 members got away with that. 5 ultimates got to be kept, and 1 more ultimate still on the way for Hong Kong Attitude. It wasn't really a big loss. They dodged the EMP somewhat successfully. Now they can come back really big.
Yeah, the whole team sort of went, look, we can't win this fight, let's go for a swim.
And the cold, icy
cold water. That's a good early pick, and they've got the ultimates to start converting. Hong Kong Attitude immediately doing so. Mega, they need to get respawns in and then use some ultimates to stabilize. They buy a bit of time with the self-destruct from White, and NZNI uses that time to convert one on Mango Jai. That does hurt Hong Kong Attitude's staying power, but they are still able to get more kills in the fight here as Zamui really getting the work done with this Dragon Blade, proving the first one just a little bit of a misfire. Randy now is the one to make space for his team, and Mega Thunder are struggling to get a significant force put together here as the respawns come in. EMP could be the swing point, but they need someone in the fight to close it out. NZNR is struggling. They do get Randy's mech though, and that may just be the stabilization for them now as a Ting pressured out, and that lack of healing does catch up to Hong Kong Attitude. Again, shy of a third, as Xia Lin is going to be the last DPS really affecting the fight here. Actually, they do get a few through. They're going to get that third. Nice converts on the back end as Mango Jai rejoining, and now actually on the cusp of his own EMP. Suddenly they've been able to spin it back around. Mega again now struggling to reinforce, struggling to get the numbers in to turn the fight back in their favor. EMP looking to close this one out now. Doesn't quite catch White, but he's really the last person contesting.
There's not enough Mega Thunder members alive now. Elk and Graceful are both on non-supports. There's just no healing for the team anymore. Everyone's just sort of running out here. Mega Thunder look very desperate to hold on to this one. It's going to be Graceful buying as much time as possible. Apuro still waiting for EMP. What's important for Mega right now is to get return kills, and they're not getting any.
The ultimate economy is phenomenal from Hong Kong Attitude. Now they get the cycle into Dragon Blade. Ting has just been able to use his Primal Rage to get work done. Randy's going to have a self-destruct. They got an EMP to close out more kills, and I don't even know if Mega can get the members on this point. Graceful can't stall out in the Icicle here if Mango Giant EMPs, but it's Apudo who EMPs first. That is, again, maybe a point to stabilize, but they need to actually execute. T2 goes down. That is an unfortunate start, and now the EMP from Mango Giant plus CQB Sound Barrier makes it an uphill battle for Mega Thunder, and the last string of kills, it feels, are going to come through on the side of Hong Kong Attitude. Mega Thunder, they want to burn this last 10 seconds off if they can, but they just don't quite manage, and there is now the possibility of time bank for Hong Kong Attitude. Just barely, but they will get it.
And the importance of getting it in 11 seconds as well is so important, because not hitting that overtime so crucial for the time bank advantage. And for Mega Thunder now, they nearly stalled out. They did such a great job of just stalling, but when you stall, you actually don't have a win condition. When you start stalling like that, you're not in a place where you actually have an ability to completely reset your defense, completely reset the attack as well, and force Hong Kong Attitude back. Hong Kong Attitude, they looked desperate there. Mango Giant went on to the Sombra, tried to get into as many different positions as possible just to keep themselves alive on that cap, just to make sure they keep themselves going on that attack. And suddenly, the tables turned very quickly, and it was Mega Thunder unable to get return kills, unable to find any openings, despite having a couple ultimates. They burned everything, dropped their supports entirely, went onto DPSs, and just stalled. Played for the time game, and they couldn't get it to the overtime.
It almost feels like Hong Kong Attitude had no right to win that fight, right? Like I said, they lost their healer right off the top of it. They were really behind the 8 ball at that point. And there was a moment where the lack of healing caught up to them. They were, for all intents and purposes, done for. It's just Mega Thunder didn't quite get what would probably have only needed to be one more kill. And in that space, Hong Kong Attitude, some moments of sheer brilliance out of Shylin and Mui both to really convert kills when it counted, and stayed alive in that fight for so long, completely spun it on its head, and suddenly it was Mega Thunder actually playing catch up.
And even the double EMP from Mango Jai as well, you did have to question, look, the Sombra coming in right at the end, they already had no healing. Now they got even less healing. One of the ways, and probably one of the most important ways for attackers to camp B, is through really good sustain. You just don't have that when you're now bringing Mango Jai back with the Sombra, but he made it work. Everyone on Hong Kong Attitude made it work. They stayed alive, their ultimate, they used the ultimate rotation properly, and they managed to scrape themselves through a win. And Mega look like they're still playing catch up, but they do get to reset the pacing.
This is very different to Mega first holding Hong Kong Attitude. And they do still have to contend with the fact that they got held out on B last time these teams met on this map, rather. But a good open already on A for Mega with the pick on a Ting. They want to pile on the pressure, though. They need to find the right way to do so, need to not get split up themselves, and now going to be able to make the move.
Now, the question still remains, what does Mega do with these early picks? Because we have seen situations where an opening pick from Apuro, this time around get the same opening pick from Apuro, but where's the conversion? How do you get that into progress?
And need to be careful to not get pressured out themselves, right? Because now they've completed the setup, but that just means Hong Kong Attitude can get aggressive in their own way. T2 though with a nice pickup means, again, Hong Kong Attitude lacking in the tanks and the conversion in. EMP in, but far too late, as already they lose Mui in the fight, but they're getting some conversions in response. Aputo's still in this though. He's really all they're going to need to close this one out. Does have to respect the Ting. Actually, Sound Barrier can stabilize now for them. They need to wait for respawns all of a sudden. Aputo, if he doesn't die, is well poised for them to capitalize on the respawns. Now they are just starting to join the fight once again. White loses the mech, but Hong Kong Attitude very much pushed back now. Stayed in the fight very nicely themselves, but are going to get pressured out of it. Mango Chai barely staying alive for a while in that room, but he is going to go down. And this looks like Mega in control of the fight still.
And that all comes off the back of Aputo staying alive despite the EMP coming down. And you do have to really compare it to Mega's own defense. Aputo took so long to get his EMP there. Mango Jai took so little time to get his EMP. In fact, already has a second EMP available for B. Aputo was the big story there for Mega's attack. Now it's up to Mango Jai to hold him up on B.
They've got a few ultimates here that they could snowball off, but the EMP could shut it down. There's the first one of those shutdowns, stopping up the Sound Barrier, and that means Graceful with the Transcendence can save his teammate, but they don't have that resource. But pressure is here. Mui going down, and this is a good opener for Hong Kong Attitude. Mega Thunder rather. They can now cycle into their DPS ults that are coming online. Self-destruct, buying good time out of Randy, but instantly loses his mech. They're all over this. Aputo is absolutely shining, and now Hong Kong Attitude have to try and stabilize, but this is in the wrong order. Mui has no support to use the Dragon Blade with. No one to back him up, and then Shailin gets picked. They've got all the healers in the mix. This is looking great for Mega Thunder. Rounding the last third now. Need to get these ultimates up. There's the Tactical Visor available and instantly comes out, even as NZNR is still killing these healers out the gate. The Tactical Visor is too much pressure. And again, Mui going in, but he's got no support from the rest of his team because everyone is dead. Shailin may just be the last casualty unless a shock contest can come in. Mango Jai gets picked, and with 5:56, an incredible time on the board for Mega Thunder.
And suddenly it looks like the student may become the teacher here. Look, if you wanted to clinic, if you wanted to learn exactly how to play on an earlier map, this time around on Volskaya, this is when it's Mega Thunder teaching the class instead. 5 minutes versus 11 seconds. That is a stark difference. This is such a huge advantage that Mega Thunder have to work with here. That initial opening snowball play was so huge. Aputo has to be the one to talk about it again because he was the one that really capped out A for the team, really stayed alive, put on the pressure onto B as well. No one really died. Aputo once again getting a huge string of kills, and Mega Thunder, if a previous question was, where's the rest of the team when Aputo gets the kills, this time it gets answered because the rest of the team, they do show up.
They absolutely do. It's almost a case of, you can kind of see Mega Thunder going to Hong Kong Attitude like, yeah, you guys are an inspiration. I've learned so much from you guys. And Hong Kong Attitude being like, yeah, please stop learning now. don't learn anything more, please. Yeah.
And this could have been worse. And this could have been worse because Hong Kong Attitude only barely made that cap. It could have been into overtime, and this could be over very, very quickly now. It still could be over very quickly because it is 5 minutes 56 to 1 minute. Meanwhile, you know, the 1 minute exists because it capped on 11. 49 seconds were added onto both teams' time. So actually, for Mega Thunder, they nearly have 6 minutes, which is incredible.
It is absolutely incredible. And again, the opportunity is there to just first hold point A, and then they got 6 minutes to cap a third, right? Hong Kong Attitude have very limited time. They're basically going to get it in one fight.
We are looking for an opportunity here where Aputo does get the EMP a lot quicker. Just look at Mango Jai, has an EMP ready on A within no time, has an EMP ready on B immediately after that as well. So for Aputo, once again, can't make the same mistakes he did earlier on tonight.
Hong Kong Attitude do successfully get into position, but that's half of the time they had available. Now they've got to actually execute on that setup, and if they don't, it's probably done for them. But they've got the pressure. That's the pick on Aputo. No response yet from Mega Thunder. They're trying to break out of this room now and get the picks. T2Watt going down as well. This is big now for Hong Kong Attitude. They've got what they needed out the gate here. Mui pressured out, but he's not quite closed out on. And again, this is huge. They're not actually getting the kills they need here, Mega. And it's at the point now where Hong Kong Attitude are going to go unopposed on this point. Mega should probably still come in for a last-ditch contest here. They will certainly have the time to, unless NZNR loses his life. It would be a bit disastrous. That is going to happen, and maybe they shouldn't contest this.
They're definitely not going to be able to anymore. B has to be where they make their stand, and for a team that previously held out A against Hong Kong Attitude, that's just not going to be the case tonight. Not in the original attack, certainly not into time back in Aputo. This time around doesn't have EMP. He had it the last time we saw them on B. This time though, Hong Kong Attitude come up with so much more than they had before.
They only get a few seconds added, but they've got enough ultimates to maybe get something like a third here. Every little bit counts. Good pulse bomb onto the mech of White. They're going to be able to convert onto Elk as well, and Pilot Diva goes down. NZNR, no such mileage from his own pulse bomb. They do close out on Shailin though, and now it's got to be all Mui or bust, and they still need to get at least that third. Respawn's favor, Mega Thunder, EMP, and Primal Rage coinciding to close it out, and they do get the first point grab. Hong Kong Attitude, there's nothing to be balked at. Do not underestimate this team, but they are looking to get repelled here on point B, and Mega Thunder will go into their own time bank just shy of 6 minutes with only needing to get a third of point B.
Certainly looks like it's doable for Mega Thunder as well. You can't get too complacent, you can't get too confident, and you do have to address the fact that A was a bit of a letdown in terms of the Mega Thunder defense there. They just kind of got rolled on through. Hong Kong Attitude didn't want to waste any time. They played like a team that only had 1 minute remaining, and they managed to get that cap with 1 minute remaining, pushing it to B with everything they could. But Aputo coming up big once again. Doesn't matter whether he's on the Genji, doesn't matter whether he's on the Soldier or the Sombra. He gets the opening kills, Mega cleans up on the side, and Mega maintain that defense. But now their own attack.
Their own attack indeed. Point A, just a little unfortunate in some regards. I mean, when you've got that flat fight where neither team has the ultimates up, it does just come down to who gets the better fight. And Mega have had times where it's been them, but I mean, if we talk about doing it when it counts, it was Hong Kong Attitude this time around, and it meant they got the cap if they can successfully first hold, and stranger things have happened, even between these two teams, as much as it was in the other direction. Hong Kong Attitude still have this being a winnable thing for them now, thanks to getting that cap.
It is not impossible, but 5 minutes, or rather nearly 6 minutes to get A is it's for a team that went and got A in their first attempt anyway. Certainly for Mega Thunder, it's entirely doable. Getting B though, getting that first third on B, that's a little bit more of an ask. All up though, Mega Thunder have 6 minutes and 26 seconds, if I'm not mistaken, total in the map. After capping A, they get that extra 30 seconds.
Yeah, they got the time, just need to have the discipline now. And they can play the time as well. They can play for thirds through and through if they like. Ideally, you just get the full cap.
The problem here last time on the defense was Mango Giant getting a quick EMP, so this time around you do have to take that into account. Yeah, Mango Giant had 2 EMPs very quickly.
Oh!
Pick up the CQB. It's going to spell a lot of doom for Hong Kong Attitude. Mango Giant still not into action just yet.
This is great from NZNR. Everyone had abandoned that room and he was able to sneak in, cut off everyone as they tried to pull back for the health pack. Did it first to CQB, did it then to Randy, and then as the team turned around to address him, they were at a numbers disadvantage. Mega pounce, close out, and using under a minute of their total 6 minutes, they're going to cap point A already.
And that is already more dominant than Hong Kong Attitude's own attack. If you're Hong Kong Attitude right now, you've got to be sweating bullets. Mega come in with a lot of pressure against Hong Kong Attitude. They're coming in with ultimates about to charge as well. Apura did such a good job on their initial attack onto B. I'm expecting a good job now again, but Mango Jai finally has the EMP to come.
But this is exactly the situation they faced previously, where they were coming in against this EMP. They get the Transcendence out. This is where they need to convert kills. They did so last time, but this time not quite so clean. NZNR does get a couple. They get a few, but they need a few more, because Shailin is honestly matching NZNR here blow for blow. This is going to be the tactical visor from Aputo. They want to try and close it out now. They are getting something done, but maybe a little bit greedy. Imagine the universe where he'd held on to that, had it for the next fight, because they're not going to win this one. They're not going to get this third. They need to play the long game now.
The interesting thing is Mega Thunder went 50-50 with Hong Kong Attitude. Every single trade was matched with their own trade there. Aputo did get a little bit gritty with the tactical visor, and you do have to imagine a world now where you do come in as Mega Thunder with a lot of ultimates against Hong Kong Attitude, who had to burn theirs just to hold on. Mango Giant now more than halfway onto the next EMP. You only need 1/3, but you have 4 minutes and 22 seconds to get there. You have the time to work with. You can be somewhat patient, but you can't be complacent.
Gonna have to go for a bit more of a slow push, and indeed both of these teams can't really get complacent. Hong Kong Attitude cannot just rely out and out on the respawn advantage, nor can they just rely on the ultimate advantage in the EMPs. But with a Ting popping the Primal Rage and getting a kill, you'd be happy to take that as your starter. And Mega Thunder already just going to take this one on the chin here. Going to lose a few more members off the back end as well.
Its extra members do cost Mega Thunder extra time though, so for Hong Kong Attitude, winning small battles, just getting a couple extra picks, just slowing down Mega Thunder even more. Now we're collecting ultimates on the Hong Kong Attitude side. For Mega Thunder, at least though, you're happy that you got the Primal Rage out of a tank. That's one less ultimate that you have to deal with coming into this next attack.
Again, all it takes is a third, and all it takes to get that third is a bunch of kills. I mean, maybe NZNR gets a 3K with a pulse
It's as
bomb.
simple as that.
I mean, honestly,
It is,
that's
it
the
is.
situation they face. EMP out, but instant conversion on Mango Giant Shaolin. They are relying exclusively on Mui. That Blossom shut down! And now Mega Thunder are all over the point with all the members and all the ultimates and all the time in the world. All they need to get is a third, and that third is all theirs. Gonna take it home in just a few moments here. Need to close out these last few kills on the point itself, but they've got, again, the resources to do so with the Tactical Visor and the Nano Boost as well for good measure. Last man on the point is gonna be Mui. Gonna go into Wraith form to buy extra time. They can trickle in a bit, but make no mistake, this is not a stabilization. The respawn advantage will not save them here. This is just a trickle as long as it may last. White can throw out the self-destruct now to zone off these members as they come on, and indeed does so. Hong Kong Attitude one step up the
Double kill.
points, and that's the thing. You're in a situation, you step off, they cap, you stay on, you die, and they cap, and rightfully, Mega Thunder are going to pick up Volskaya Industries.
And they set that win up so well. They just had to be patient. They just had to find the right play, and they actually got that. We mentioned, we kind of even joked, look, they just need a couple of kills. They just need to get in there, get that player advantage. That's probably all they need, and that's exactly what they got, and that's exactly how they won.
That was frankly phenomenal. I mean, what a reversal on the whole of the first time these two teams met on Volskaya. Like you said, Mega Thunder full held on point A against Hong Kong Attitude, got full held themselves on point B though, so it's, you know, there's kind of neither here nor there situation, but the performance was better. This time around, it was the attack that saved them. The fact that they went into time bank with so much time and it had a good enough defense to run the clock dry. It's kind of the opposite in a way, even though the result was a similar blowout victory, and with that, now setting themselves up 2-1. We talked about the importance of taking it to match point, and now Hong Kong Attitude, not only are they staring that down, they are also staring down the exact situation Matchy lost from just yesterday against this team.
Let's take a look at the replay now. We're going to be into the rather sort of opening moments here for Hong Kong Attitude. 2 minutes off the clock already. Mui getting down very early to El Caputo, taking down Randy's mech as well. This is the EMP we're waiting for though here. He does use the EMP eventually, but not enough gets done out of the Shaolin. Still picking up the kill. CQB double boot kill onto both White and Elk as well. So this is now a situation where Hong Kong Attitude, despite being down early, gets a lot of work done in the interim. The EMP did come down, but no kills. Talk about the fact that NZNR wasn't in position to really help out. Talk about the fact that Taterwatt's damage wasn't really enough either. The sound barrier from CQB does secure this, and it ends up being a very smooth cap out from Hong Kong Attitude.
And it was this situation where something needed to save them if they were going to continue in that fight, and they'd opted to go all in as well, so they needed that thing to save them. Shaolin got 2 kills, CQB got 2 kills. Now look, if one of those had happened without the other, I guarantee you they would not have won that. Mega Thunder would have still stabilized, because even then it would have been 4 versus 4 with Mega Thunder still controlling the territory itself. It would have still been Hong Kong Attitude on an uphill battle with low health bars, no healers, yada yada yada. Taking a look at another replay now though. This is going to be in the time bank. Hong Kong Attitude again making a successful cap. This one was a lot smoother.
This one with only 30 seconds remaining, getting Aputo very early, so we talk about the fact that Aputo struggled to get the EMP up early. This time around, doesn't even get the chance to do that because he goes down so early. Taterwatt follows on, and not a lot of return kills. I think Mega Thunder might get a couple here, but it's not really enough. They're all over this cap. 10 seconds now remaining. White gets teammate, Graceful down as well. It's all over here for Mega Thunder, and they don't even have any real opportunity to try and defend.
And you're exactly right, no real opportunity to defend. They maybe could have gone in for a last-ditch defense if NZNR hadn't died, but he positioned a bit too aggressively, wasn't going to be able to successfully retreat. It was all but a guarantee that he died, and then actually from that point, it was kind of smart for them to not opt to go for a last-ditch defense, because that probably, had it been lost, could have resulted in a snowball for Hong Kong Attitude. And instead, they ended up in this situation here where they had full held on B thanks to that, and now this is where they are able to push it over the line themselves on B.
And look at the EMP play from Mango Joe. That's the most important thing here. It comes down now, but instantly taken down by Buru. Instantly now taking down his counterpart Shaolin as well. So 6v4 despite the EMP coming down. And that's a big deal. Mui's Death Blossom does nothing. The self-destruct only buys a couple of seconds before Mega Thunder eventually come back on, and it has to be the self-destruct from White himself that really secures this point. A valiant last-ditch effort for a Hong Kong Attitude, but that's all it is.
Exactly, and one of the most crucial things here as well, the Ultimates were sort of even arguably more favoring Hong Kong Attitude at the top of this fight, but the key thing is the number of times members of Hong Kong Attitude were shut down immediately after ulting before the ult could have any effect. We saw it with the EMP at the start, we saw it with the Death Blossom, we saw it with Randy's first self-destruct, and it was just this constant thing, right? And it all culminated in the end. So with all those resources exhausted for no gain that ended up giving over ult charge given those members died so quickly, pretty quickly Mega Thunder found themselves kind of flipping it around on Hong Kong Attitude. They were the ones with all the ultimates, and unlike Hong Kong Attitude, totally capitalized. They still had to overcome the respawn advantage. It was still a very slow burn kind of fight to get on the point in the first place, but by the time they were there, it was just their fight to lose.
You do have to be concerned about the misfires on the Hong Kong Attitude side as well, because the EMP, it looked good from the outside, it looked good. If he had paused the frame there and said, okay, this EMP should be successful,
Catches a lot of members.
Mango Chai just melts. Shailin melts. And in a reverse situation, that's not meant to happen if you use the EMP. It's meant to be the other team melting.
Now, Hong Kong Attitude, their pick for Escort, and like I said, now match point for Mega Thunder, so Hong Kong Attitude need to pick this one up. I think smartly avoiding Watchpoint Gibraltar, where Mega Thunder had a pretty dominant defense against Matchy Esports just last night, but still Hong Kong Attitude are facing the same situation as Matchy Esports when they themselves lost to Mega Thunder. They need to stabilize here, and it is only going to be a stabilization. They do not have an opportunity to win just yet. Mega Thunder, it's now their series to lose.
And now we have to go back to Hollywood, where they were very successful. What made Hong Kong Attitude such a force to be reckoned with? It was Mui on the Sombra. It was also Mui onto the McCree. Maybe that's what they have to go back to, because every time we have seen the Tracer Genji coming out from the Hong Kong Attitude side, it just hasn't been as good. And when we have seen Mega Thunder, however, a Puda on the Soldier has been great, picking up a lot of kills. Puda on the Sombra has been great, picking up a lot of kills. And even on the Genji, he's just been better than Mui is on that one.
Dorado. We've seen a lot of Dorado this season. We've seen a lot of Escort in general.
We've seen a lot of map 4s. There's been a general...
every time
there's been a
Flash
general
Wolves have
lack
played.
of 3-0s. Especially when Flash Wolves have played, but kind of just over the course of the entire season, there have been more series that have just gone to a 4th or 5th map.
And by the way, I mean, that just kind of stands as evidence of how much closer the competition is in general. I know we haven't been talking about that specifically much tonight, but it's just kind of an interesting factor. But on the whole, it also actually means the teams, and look, everyone practices Escort, don't get me wrong, but the teams that are more practiced on Escort are able to shine in this season, right? They're able to close it out in these situations when they've got it to match point.
Because this is the difference now where a team like Mega Thunder, if they're practiced on Escort, they can close out a series 3-1. If they're not practiced enough on Escort, it's going to be in 2-2, and Hong Kong Attitude are within striking distance of actually finishing the series themselves.
Exactly. And that's the thing, right? You don't want to take it back to that other game mode, especially if you are in the exact situation Mega Thunder in here, where actually they had lost the hybrid previously. Now look, that doesn't mean you're always just going to lose hybrid. It is definitely not that simple, but that's the factor here for Mega Thunder, and indeed, it's the saving grace for Hong Kong Attitude. They're going to be thinking, look, if we can pull this one back around, we get to go back to hybrid, where we can feel confident. It is going to be the opposing team's map pick, but that is not the be-all, end-all. But Hong Kong Attitude need to win this to stabilize.
And by the way, Hong Kong Attitude are not strangers to going into a best-of-5 series, the infamous ones, 2 in a row from Season 1 that you have to remember. We are into this series, so it is still map 4. It's going to be a Puro back on the Soldier, which he was so good on for Volskaya.
Yeah, and already nicely set up here, Mega Thunder. This is an interesting Sombra out the gate. We've seen a little bit of attack Sombra on Escort, on Dorado specifically, but This is the opportunity for Mega to really get work done on it. Oh, that's kind of well timed by both there, actually. Ends it another good timing on the recall to get up as the hack went through, but the closeout is there. Nice follow-up out of the Diva, and Mui is just doing a lot of work pressuring out these higher mobility characters.
So good punishment by Hong Kong Attitude so far. Getting into that early is a great start. Losing a team, though, is going to be Mega Thunder striking back. So for Mega Thunder, now going to rotate around the corner, make sure they can hold the archway for Hong Kong Attitude. Need to find an opening to once again get additional card movement.
Gonna be getting close to some ults though, notably the tactical visor from Aputo, and that could be all they really need to close this out. Mui is a long way away from this EMP, and now on the cusp of ultimates, they got to start converting, but White's the first casualty of the fight now, and Mega are actually on the back foot. This tactical visor won't be hugely safe now. They need to be careful with how they use it. Forced to use the Transcendence so they can give themselves mileage in this fight, but they don't convert. Now Mango Jai's own Transcendence is up. Hong Kong Attitude, they themselves have the opportunity to convert, but they do lose a ting. Getting the trade in now, they got the pressure on. It's all about getting the kills over the line. Pulse Bomb gets eaten, and this is suddenly still anyone's fight. Tactical visor out now. Not quite getting the closeout they need. But again, the payload distance is what's ultimately going to count, and Hong Kong Attitude have that in spades.
Aputo didn't get anything out of the tactical visor. Randy had his number there. Now comes the EMP. Mui's been saving this one for some time now. Mega Thunder, they're not quite giving up just yet. There are a couple of trades, but not good enough trades for Mega Thunder to actually hold on.
Exactly, and Hong Kong Attitude between a Ting and Shailin is still holding this one down. It is Mega Thunder who needed to dive onto the payload. Hong Kong Attitude had kind of held the territory throughout most of that fight, and like I said, it's the card distance that matters, and that's what Hong Kong Attitude were prioritizing in that fight.
The other thing that really works out for Hong Kong Attitude is they had both their support ultimates before Mega had their support ultimates. That really helped them out to set the pacing of that fight. Mega Thunder consistently behind Aputo, never really had the positioning to make tactical visor work, never really pushed out Randy either, who kept his neck alive for so long, and losing White early certainly didn't help. Losing Enzenar early here certainly doesn't help.
Yeah, and it means they can't get too much out of this high ground. This is good momentum from Hong Kong Attitude. They get to take all the ground payload moving uncontested. Again, it's on Mega to make the move.
Look at this free push from CQB, where Hong Kong Attitude's held up. That's where Mega wants to be held up instead. Meanwhile, still the cart pushes on. Eventually, Mega has to push the go button.
The commit comes out with the sound barrier, but it's immediately answered by Mango Jai. They need to convert. That's the one they needed. Now, need to get the rest of the DPS in. Graceful doesn't Transcendence in time. Wow, from Randy. Getting all three there. The full Owen Wilson. And that's going to be the closeout now from Shailin. This is unstoppable momentum now from Hong Kong Attitude.
And this time around, not even Aputo can save this team. Not even Aputo can find these picks. Just get them through, thread that needle, and find anything that he can get. It's going to be a final attempt now to get the Streets phase underway for Mega Thunder. Aputo and the rest of his crew do have ultimates. Here comes Graceful with the Transcendence.
Finally getting that one out. And this time it's White's turn to get a couple of kills without self-destruct. They had just lost the Aputo, so that's kind of saved them here. But a Ting, he's not going to go down without a fight, but maybe would be better off not fighting here and rolling over and taking it. He's going to blow the ultimate and not actually get anything for it. And this is now the opportunity for Mega Thunder to actually stabilize.
And Aputo's back now, so he did die very early for Hong Kong Attitude, running out of resources here in start.
Oh, Enzenar! Ooh, able to just barely retreat, covered by the Deadeye. That was dicey.
55 HP though. Aputo might just go down here again. That would be very critical for the team. Mega Thunder, they need to find the Pixie. Enzenar finally goes down after getting hacked, and Hong Kong Attitude are all over this card.
Aputo hasn't been healed up yet either, because the healers have had to be focusing on the tanks holding down the front line. And unfortunately, that meant that for all the time T2What was buying, Aputo wasn't able to do anything. Enzenar was dead. They've only just come back in. They are going to fight to the last, but so are Hong Kong Attitude. And Hong Kong Attitude have more gas in the tank.
This feels like one very long push from Hong Kong Attitude. It just doesn't really feel like Mega have stopped them up. They've stalled them somewhat. They kind of paused them, but they've never forced Hong Kong Attitude to reset completely. This is a big deal for Hong Kong Attitude. A lot of momentum, and Mega Thunder have not really stopped that momentum just yet.
And this is now Shailin just fishing for the Pulse Bomb to kind of blow this one open to get that extra bit of distance, have them threatening the full cap out. But T2What with the opening pick on Mango Jai means Mega Thunder had the opportunity to convert, and they do so. This may be the beginnings of the stabilization they need, because this has been the first very convincing fight win for them.
It has been, and that's concerning because we're already on to C. This is where you usually get a good win from the defensive team, but we've had to wait the entire map to get here. 2 minutes 40 left to go. It is defensible by Mega Thunder, but Hong Kong Attitude still working with ultimates. ultimates, still working with a decent amount of pressure that they built over A and B.
They had to use ultimates to make that happen as well, so the picks from Maputo were what they needed to secure that. When Shaolin gets a funky one with the pulse bomb, but that's all he's going to get with that. They've used a lot of other resources that they did have, so Mega are maybe using a bit more than they need, but to be honest, Hong Kong Attitude are actually using up ultimates of their own as well. They're not really fighting to gain an advantage, they're just kind of throwing them at the wall, hoping something sticks, it feels. But they are going to get a couple of things to stick. They're back on the payload. Respawns can come in for Mega though.
Silver lining is Mega kept most of the fights outside onto B itself, not onto C, not anywhere near the cart. So despite Hong Kong Attitude winning that fight eventually, they don't get the cart push until now, until after they win the fight, because actually the fight was kept way outside the cart's range, and that's really well played.
It's interesting, Mega lost that because they didn't commit ultimates, but it was actually sensible to not commit ultimates because now they've got them available for this fight. Need to contend with the EMP though, and there it goes out. Maputo can use the Deadeye when he sees fit, but he needs to be in a safe spot. Flashbang not quite connecting, and now he's getting pressured down. Gonna be waiting for that respawn as NZNR, the only DPS still in the fight for his team, trying to do some work. And both of these Winstons looking to go full monkey mode. Hong Kong Attitude, I think, smartly backing off here.
This is where Mega Thunder saving those ults earlier does pay off for them. They still got the Deadeye for when they want to use that, but Hong Kong Attitude really paid for it. They use ultimates themselves. Both Winstons use the Primal Rage, and we're now running out of time. All this time wasted really works for Mega Thunder. This is what they expected, and if they're going to lose the camp, they want to lose it into the overtime, but actually, ideally, they want to hold it out right now.
And they're trying to get the pressure onto Maputo. They understand that the Deadeye could just stop them short of any significant fight. Mui pressured out, though. They're just going to have to back off.
And Gojo's nearly on Transcendence as well, so we are just biding a little bit of time to get these ultimates the next ultimates back up. Graceful will be able to counter with his own Transcendence, but you do have to look out for the Deadeye. One good Deadeye shuts this entire attack down.
And we're a long way from the swing ultimates out of Hong Kong Attitude like EMP, but hold on, no one's on the payload, and the Deadeye gets cancelled out. They let the payload move out of sight of the Deadeye. Didn't need to either. They had the ultimate Shaolin, therefore gets the opening pick now onto Maputo, and it's going to be all muscle for the next few moments of this fight, as White has the only ultimate available right now, doesn't convert anything off it either, only able to remech, and now the EMP comes up. The Hong Kong Attitude looking to get the closeouts and instantly converting onto White. Doesn't matter that Mui's low because they're getting the kills through. Mega are split up and they're not going to get ultimates up in any significant time either. The payload through to the end, and unfortunately Graceful's Ice Wall actually blocks himself off from the payload. That was a nice cap out of Hong Kong Attitude. Did end up in overtime, but the momentum start to finish was phenomenal.
Right at the end there for Mega Thunder, as previously mentioned, if you're going to lose that cap, you want to lose it into the overtime. Make sure you bleed every second out from the Hong Kong Attitude side. A little bit of a blunder at the end there. You sort of mentioned this yourself, but the Deadeye maybe didn't really need to be used there. Hong Kong Attitude really played around that quite nicely. Shaolin eventually got the kill onto Maputo, but Maputo had the good decision-making skills to realize this Deadeye was not going to work out. I'm going to die. I'm going to try and roll out of this, but Shaolin still had his number regardless.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, as the McCree, once you're in that situation, it is hard to pull back from it, especially against a Tracer as good as Shaolin. And that's the thing, it's kind of unfortunate. Maputo was kind of relying on the team to keep the payload contested so that the Deadeye could have an effect, but like I said, by the time he channeled it, the payload was kind of out of his sight.
Also, it's nighttime, so it's definitely not noon.
It's hard to see. Yeah, it's really not high noon.
It's definitely not noon, and that does not work well for McCree.
That's really the key problem with the McCree pick on Dorado.
Yeah. I feel like from a lore perspective, like it kind of nerfs Deadeye.
Yeah. It's just the most ridiculous thing. I'm sorry.
He actually needs a separate voice line for the night maps, and also for Horizon, which I guess is technically nighttime as well. Where he says midnight instead of high noon.
Well,
you gotta be accurate.
Sombra kind of has that because in the Spanish versions of the game, her ultimate voice line, instead of apagando las luces, which is who turned out the lights, she says vámonos a medianoche, which is return to midnight. There's another lore connection there, so I don't know. I feel like midnight is kind of already taken up by Sombra in this game. But at any rate, they need to get the cap over. They can absolutely do it. I hate to say you can afford to lose it here if you're Mega Thunder, but they kind of can. Out the gate, though, not looking good.
Hong Kong Attitude just shutting down this triple DPS straight away. Graceful thought he had an opening there with the Farah. NZNR as well, slapped in the face with Hong Kong attitude. They got this door shut down.
That was a little bit of a rough start for Mega Thunder. They're going to swap off the Pharaoh like, just kidding, guys.
Yeah, just testing things out. Just being cheeky here.
It was just a prank, bro.
What is really good about the Pharaoh at the start, though, despite dying, is you get to scout out the top section, and actually a good concussive blast does knock everyone off it and directly onto the ground. So that kind of works for Mega Thunder, but they do lose a bit of the sight. NZR now actually going onto the Pharaoh.
This is interesting because to me this says they want the Genji, but they do actually have a good Genji out of NZNR. He's pulled it out before. And already this is successful for them as they convert onto Shaolin. They're getting the pressure in as they need it. Payload underway as well. Hong Kong Attitude haven't quite pulled back around for this defense yet and can get killed as they exactly cut off in the maneuver. And that's exactly what happened. CQB now going to go down as T2 going deep on the dive. And that was really poorly handled by Hong Kong Attitude.
And the movements from Mega Thunder are really great, though. I don't even know if Hong Kong Attitude can get to this card in time. It does appear like they want to do it. They just managed to get in. EMP comes out as well, but
he's
taken down.
Shaolin's got a pulse bomb though. That could be all it takes here, but Puto says no such luck. Shaolin smartly holding on to it as he backs off, and the cap goes through anyway.
The second time now into the series with two different Sombras. The EMP does come in on paper. You pause that frame, it looks fantastic, but actually straight away afterwards, the Sombra player himself dies. Whether that's Mango Jai onto Full Sky, whether that's Mui now onto Dorado, it doesn't matter. It doesn't work for Hong Kong Attitude. Mui knows it too. He's onto the McCree.
And he needs to deal with NZNR, but NZNR, he's not going to stick on the Pharaoh rather anyway. He's back onto the Tracer now, and they're just kind of playing to their beats here. This is really nicely run by Mega.
That was a much cleaner A attack from Mega than it was for Hong Kong Attitude as well, so they got that to work with. Now the Dragonblade play might come out for a Buddha, and you do have to be concerned if you're on the Hong Kong Attitude side.
Well, they got the Transcendence. They were ready to try and convert off that, but actually didn't need to just yet. Now they can. Now that Hong Kong Attitude are trying to come back around. That forces out the Transcendence from Mango Jai. And they can still just get aggressive as they see fit because, by the way, the payload's moving.
That's really good news for Mega Thunder because they're making up for a lot of lost time here. Keeping Hong Kong Attitude onto the back foot. Mui going down is really good. Sound barrier from CQB now to respond.
Yeah, it was really just to match Elks, but they do get the pick on T2. Close out on a Puto is nice, and Shaolin hasn't really been answered. Good self-destruction from Whoa! Once again, Randy gonna get 3 with that self-destruct. That's phenomenal, and White getting no such luck out of his own.
Yeah, it doesn't get the response self-destruct kill this time. Last time White responded with 2. This time Randy says, no, it's my show, it's my time, Toronto's my home, and you have to get out.
Jeez, Randy getting 2 3Ks first on attack and then defense. He's like, yeah, it wasn't a fluke. It's all skill.
Roughly in kind of the same place.
Actually.
As well.
He knows his angles.
He knows his angles on this particular section of the map.
Studied up. He's got the Pythagoras. He knows what's up. I like to imagine he's just sitting there with a scientific calculator, like doing the trig mid-game.
Yeah, he's got that protractor out and just calculating the perfect angles, but it is going to be Mega Thunder taking a different angle now with the payload roughly pushed up. Going to get aggressive onto the back line, but no Hong Kong Attitude.
Yeah, no Hong Kong Attitude. They're kind of not misfired, but they didn't quite find their mark. You're completely right. Now NZNR getting onto the high ground here. Oh, good catch from Mui. And they're not actually really getting much onto the payload. Getting some movement on it now. Nice response kill though onto a team. They want to go aggressive anyway, and they actually still can, even though they lost NZNR. Hong Kong Attitude weren't actually set up. The Zenyatas are going to have a race as they glow.
Zenyatta
race. White's going to close out on his counterpart. The momentum is all there for Mega Thunder on the cusp of capping B now and with advantage for this next fight.
Still going to be a 10 coming with the Primal Race of Hong Kong Attitude. Don't want to give this one up just yet. Mui now back into the Sombra as well, but Aputo responds in kind. He's going to slice everyone out of this fight, and Hong Kong Attitude may just look to reset.
Yeah, they may not have a chance but to give this up, you're right. Ting going to get pressured out here as well. May even lose his life. There it goes. The converts are big off the back line. T2 did have to commit the Primal Rage to get that convert, but they're happy to take it. This is now actually trickle on from Hong Kong Attitude. They feed a little bit more ult charge back into the pocket of Mega Thunder. About similar time though for point C that both of these teams have had.
So Mega Thunder do have to wait somewhat. They don't get too aggressive here. In fact, maybe they can, because if Puto gets the kill onto Mui, this could be a different story. It will be the respawn kill for Shaolin instead. If you're going to compare the 2 different attacks, the good news for Hong Kong Attitude is they did stop up Mega a lot more than they were stopped up on Mega, at least on the B stage.
Yeah, because of the door closing on that cap, just the way the map works, unfortunately, Mega kind of had to back off and regroup, lost NZNR in that back off as well with that hack from Mui. So now just kind of playing recovery mode. Plenty of time to do so, but they're not ahead anymore.
Mui hasn't been on the Sombra for long after changing back from McCree, but already having the EMP, both support ultimates online for Hong Kong Attitude as well, both support ultimates about to be online from Mega Thunder, but they need to be able to get this rolling. They need to be able to get the cart moving. Mui, though, he's looking to stop it.
He is. The only thing is all of his EMPs have been great except for the follow-up. That's a good self-destruct out from White because it's made the follow-up harder, but it's actually still going to come in as Ting and Randy were ready for it. That's a really quick closeout from them. Mega Thunder don't commit too much more to that fight, which is good news for them. Can maybe go back into this one with a few more ultimates in the pocket.
It kind of played against EMP rather well because they didn't commit really anything, but for Hong Kong Attitude, also a really cheap fight. They only used the EMP. Didn't have to use any support ultimates. They can still match support ultimate for ultimate against Mega Thunder in the ensuing fight, which is important because Opuro wants to make the big play now. Now the power spike for Mega Thunder really starts to take place.
Power spike indeed. They need to convert. That's what it's going to come down to. NZNR, that is not your health pack, buddy, but quick kills off the back of the sound barrier, and CQB and Mango Jai committing everything they've got. Graceful did it to match, but match indeed as they get the kills. This is what's going to do it for Mega Thunder as they get the momentum back underway. Demeching Randy at the last minute there is good for them because they can just pick that one up later as they see fit, and they got the momentum underway as the pause comes out.
And it's pause at a critical time as well. This is a very tense moment in the matchup as Mega Thunder look to be making their way through that C-cap wave. They're just slightly winning this fight now after both teams have fully used both support ultimates on both sides. And the card does seem to be making its way for Hong Kong Attitude, potentially on their last legs and potentially looking and staring into the face of a 3-1 victory in Mega's favor.
That would be pretty terrifying, and even if they pull it back, there's still the opportunity of the 3-2 victory for Mega anyway, and kind of said this at the top of the night. Look, Mega Thunder, with the win against Match yesterday, have a significant hope of making playoffs, but they've got to win matchups like this in order to make it happen for themselves. Already well on that path. Hong Kong Attitude, on the other hand, they're secure enough in third place. Losing this isn't the end of the world for them. It just makes it harder to stay in that playoffs kind of contention. Honestly, it's this really tricky spot, right, on the whole.
Let's address the replay while we are here, though, and this is going to be Hong Kong Attitude attacking, just barely making their way through, so they do see a little bit of response from Mega Thunder. Nothing really too big to write home about. In fact, I'm not even too sure if this is actually the replay or not, because replays don't usually pause like that.
Well, it's replay of the pause. Get to relive the moment when the game paused. But like I said, the key thing in that is, right, Hong Kong Attitude. Oh, actually, is this the unpause?
Okay, no, this is the real game. So this was not a replay. And it's just like,
back at it. All right, so that was the kill they needed there to demech Randy. Quick follow-up now from Aputo. And wow, what a pulse bomb as well. The dive is here, pressure on to Mui now. Gonna have to retreat all the way back to the base. They've made the space for the payload. They're down to one last fight to win it.
And not a lot of ultimates here. This is looking very dire for Hong Kong Attitude. They have stall power with only 1 minute 10 left. Maybe if they stall long enough, they can sneak in this one, but they need kills, need a lot of trades, and for Mega, they just got to hold on.
A team kind of overshot it. Luckily, they've got the tools to keep it alive with that Primal Rage and the self-destruct as well out of the other tanks. But Mega don't mind drawing these ultimates out. They've got time. They only need to push it over the line to push it to Time Bank itself. And heck, they might even want to do it in overtime, go to Golden Point. That's not actually a bad option.
That's a really good stall kill, a good stagger onto White. In fact, he's going to go down now finally, and Mega Thunder don't really want to have to wait for him for too long because they're now playing into EMP. No, there's no support ultimates, but there's also no support ultimates for anybody, so that's not going to be a factor. Aputo wants a Dragon Blade, probably not going to get one just yet. He needs to stay alive for a long point. This could go to anyone as we head into the overtime.
Mega are really going to be relying on White getting a good placement on the self-destruct to create the space they need to execute, and they need to get Aputo getting that Dragon Blade up quickly and capitalizing.
Yeah, 77%, 81 now, so close. Here comes the EMP, but we're looking for follow-up.
He stays alive, that's crucial, and you wanted follow-up, you've got it. Shia Lin gonna get two with the pulse bomb. One of those is the mech, but hey, look, it's not gonna get over the line now for Mega Thunder. There's just no one left. Aputo Dragon Blading for no gain. T2Watt not even able to stall with that ultimate, and that was a pretty quick sticks closeout when it counted there for Hong Kong Attitude. Like I said, it is not done just yet. They get the opportunity to stabilize. but now they finally get to bring it to their own match point. This is very much in their sights now for Hong Kong Attitude, the recovery they've been needing.
And this is going to be such a well-deserved play of the game as well from, both the times of Randy managing to get a 3 kill. Absolutely incredible. Now, White does respond with 2 in this exact same play, but Randy, the consistency needed to pull that off time and time again.
Actually, that was the one where White didn't even get the 2 in response.
Okay, well,
One. Well, but that's the thing, right? He got it twice. Like, it's just so incredible. The first one as well was like, oh yeah, they probably got this fight. Maybe the response kill. Nope. 3K from a self-destruct. It was just phenomenal play out of them, really. And that's the thing, it's a well-deserved hold there from Hong Kong Attitude. It did come down to a situation where it was down to one last fight. And again, there's this thing of converting when it counts, getting the fight win when it matters. But they really did deserve it, and all along the way, their play consistently was very strong, both on the offense and the defense, generally speaking. There were some issues at some points on the defense, but really that was just Mega Thunder's strong play.
It was, and you have to look at A as well. Mega Thunder did much better on A than Hong Kong Attitude did, but Hong Kong Attitude stopped up Mega Thunder a lot more on B than the other way around. Let's take a look at the replay now. We might get a little bit of a glimpse of that because it is now Mega Thunder pushing on through for their B attack. And by the way, look out for Randy building up to that self-destruct, and maybe this could be the play coming out from it. Note here that the cart does not move, so Mega Thunder get quite aggressive, they get quite forward. No one really pressures the cart. Look at a team's position in the back. He's got a 1 versus 1 against Elk, who, by the way, Elk was the member who was designated to push the cart, and the team does a great job of stopping him.
But they do the smart thing here, at least, in that nothing really happens in their opening maneuver, but what it did do is it drew Hong Kong Attitude into an unfavorable position. So as Mega Thunder pull back to the cart, they draw Hong Kong Attitude forward and make them overextend. They convert some kills, but this is where the shining moment happens. And there was, again, much like on their attack, a situation where a couple of kills went through, there was still some momentum for Mega Thunder, and then a 3K comes out of Randy, and it's all shut down.
And again, the second one that did actually happen because he got one on his own attack. So Randy, time and time again, just really speaks to how the B happened, because we sort of talk about the fact that, look, B was pretty smooth, all things considered, for Hong Kong Attitude. The triple kill definitely helps there. B, not so smooth for Mega Thunder on their own attack. Again, the triple kill from Randy, definitely a factor there.
If this is how every single series that's going to count for a lot in the standings is going to go, then this is going to be an extremely exciting second round robin. And this is a really great time to take a look at the standings, because now that it's down to the final game, one of these teams has to win it. And if it's Mega Thunder, you can see that what that is going to do to the standings. It really puts them in striking distance of top 4. Only Blank and HQ sitting between them. Those will be hard wins for Mega Thunder to pick up. But again, it's all just about keeping the playoffs hope alive, and it's a hope that they created in the match against Matchy. For Hong Kong Attitude, you don't want to lose anything if you can help it. You can sort of afford to, but man, this is looking ropey, because they would still then have to beat Blank and AHQ.
All right, well, so far now, 2-2 in the record between these two teams, at least in the series so far. Everyone's wanted their own home map pick, but there's one more map still left to go, and that is going to be hybrid map number 5. That'll happen right after this break. Welcome back once again to OPC Season 2. We're about to get into the final map of the evening. It is between Mega Thunder and Hong Kong Attitude, and it has been a super close series so far. 2-2 in the standings. Both teams have one on their home pick, but there is only one home pick left to go.
Now, the record between these two teams as well, just to kind of refresh, in the first round robin, Mega Thunder and Hong Kong Attitude faced very early on. Mega Thunder won that in a 3-0. But since then, Hong Kong Attitude made grand improvements to the point where they've secured a place in the top 4. And it is a very well-deserved place in the top 4. Mega Thunder, on the other hand, struggled to pick up wins up until last night. And now they are trying to set themselves up on a hot streak. And that's kind of where these two teams sit, right? One trying to stay as secure as possible in the top 4 now that they've earned a spot. And the other trying as hard as they possibly can to break into that top 4, taking no prisoners along the way. And the map that is going to decide it between these two teams, tied as they are 2-2, will be Mega Thunder's pick of Eichenwald. And
I think after the conclusion of this, no matter who wins, especially if Mega Thunder do win though, you can never really underestimate this team. Any team that thought this was going to be a win against Mega Thunder, any team that thought if you're going to go up against them, Mega Thunder are not going to beat you, you do have to consider, look, Hong Kong Attitude on the back foot here. They feel like they only barely scraped through on Dorado. They didn't scrape through on Volskaya, and maybe they won't now on Eichenwald.
Maybe we see something more akin to Hollywood. Hong Kong Attitude's performance on Hollywood, or indeed maybe we see something more akin to the performance last night on Eichenwald. If I'm not mistaken, that is where they went against Matchy when it was Mega Thunder's pick, and they lost that map. So, I mean, that's the thing that has to be considered. I mentioned it last night as well. It seems weird to say it because Mega Thunder do like picking this map, but they can be kind of lackluster on it. Often we don't see these real stand-up performances. It isn't on the same level as Ilios for them as a map pick.
Definitely not on the level of Volskaya either, which looked very good for this team. Now that we are into Eichenwald, it doesn't feel necessarily convincing for either team. The good news is Hollywood is off the table, so we weren't going to go back to that. And we already saw what the effect that Hong Kong Attitude can bring on that now onto a map like Eichenwald. Instead, though, any team, I feel, can take this.
Yeah, it really will just... I mean, what a fitting way, right? What a fitting way for this series to resolve on this 5th map. A map that really feels like it could be anyone's. I mean, both teams, in some regards, are great on this map, and in other regards, maybe can't feel too comfortable on it. And we know that on the whole, Mega Thunder have looked good, but it's been Hong Kong Attitude on the payload-oriented maps that have closed it out. Maybe that'll be the difference here.
And it does sort of seem like a similar tale to what we saw between AHQ and Flash Wolves, where it did go down to the 5th map, and it was sequentially one team wins than the other, and then it goes back to the other team. So now into this as well. Do Hong Kong Attitude, or rather do Mega Thunder do a repeat of what AHQ did, and now win it on their final home pick?
It's going to be Hong Kong Attitude having to attack first. Mega Thunder pulling out this triple DPS with Elk on the Soldier.
They have had some good success with it so far on Volskaya, but it was Aputo's own Soldier that had a lot of that success. Where and when does Aputo get this EMP, and does Mui actually get it first?
Yeah, Mui's right on top of this point already. And he seemed to get a good amount of health pack control in this as well. No opening pick out of Mega. They need to be careful to not just get corralled into choke points. T2Watt pressured out. That is not a good start for Mega Thunder with a 3rd on the point already, and they just kind of let themselves get closed out on. I didn't see Mega Thunder do anything proactive in that fight.
They're very defensive indeed, and Hong Kong Attitude had all the initiative and still have the initiative. Elk tries to get in, gets taken down. Still Mega Thunder members trying to get in, they get taken down, and now Mega Thunder getting strongly routed.
This is the momentum that we're talking about. This is what Hong Kong Attitude did on Hollywood. This is what Hong Kong Attitude were largely able to do on Dorado that we just saw. Hong Kong Attitude already off to a good start on Eichenwald.
Definitely the best kind of start you're looking for Hong Kong Attitude. Didn't really lose members there either. Now it's just about building up those ultimates. The EMP is going to be a big factor. No surprise that Shaolin gets the first ultimate of the game in the Pulse Bomb itself, and Mega Thunder on the back foot in multiple different locations.
That Pulse Bomb does go wide though, but there's now going to be the EMP opening up out of Mui, and they convert onto Mango Jai though, Mega Thunder. And that could be the opening they need. Pressuring out White though, saving grace, and Aputo going down to Shaolin, and that means Hong Kong Attitude can again just get aggressive, get the momentum going. EMP for style points onto Graceful. Unfortunately, they can't follow it up, given that, like, Sombra can't fly. All right, sure, we'll get NZNR instead. Mui happy to take those kills and momentum again. Payload out the way.
That was Mui shooting someone else and NZNR appearing in front of him, head directly in his crosshair.
I call that the inverse Sombra.
It was a little bit strange, but yeah, the EMP, I don't know, style points would be a good way to describe it because nothing else really happened.
Yeah, style points. This is going to be Hong Kong Attitude again, just trying to get priority on this fight, trying to take the initiative, like you said. And this is already the conversion. Mango Jai getting Graceful here. They're really making this work. They do get the counter pick in here, though. Aputo starting to open up a little bit more. This is what they've been needing. Ooh. And he gets a third one for good measure. And off the back of that, actually, Mega Thunder, assuming Aputo doesn't die, can they go up there? As I said it, never mind.
Mui's been a factor so far into this map. He's been just so good at finding these targets. EMP going wide doesn't even matter for him because he's about to get another EMP. Aputo got a good string of kills, still waiting onto Dragonblade. Look at the car position though. That's what's most important. And Hong Kong Attitude had good push.
So this is where the stabilization is going to be able to come out from Mega Thunder. It's going to have to come on the back of the Transcendence, but again, happy to take that as T2 converts a couple of kills. Aputo able to rejoin the fight. This is what there was another one. They're just throwing them out and getting a headshot on the invisible Sombra. But this is what Mega Thunder have been needing so far.
Mega Thunder getting that stabilization, most importantly off the back of only using a couple of ultimates. In fact, just the one from Graceful. Now they have the tools to play with. Aputo finally gets to Dragonblade. He's been on the Genji for some time now. Finally getting that ultimate allows him to be a little bit more effective. And actually, he's getting a number of kills, not even having the Dragonblade. So he should be even more effective now.
You'd certainly hope so, but let's not cast this curse the guy. Still got to actually execute as it comes out, looking to get something on the side here. Maybe just trying to kind of stand guard on the health pack, wait for someone to retreat to it. And this is the option now. Yeah, those aren't the people he was looking for, though. The two tanks are not the right targets for him. It just means Hong Kong Attitude do successfully get to retreat to the health packs.
Hong Kong Attitude, yes, they get to retreat. Yes, they are kind of doing something, but they're not really attacking just yet. They haven't opened
the payload.
Up the play. But yeah, importantly, they do get the payload. So I think Mega Thunder need to be able to defend that. They finally do see UV going down. This is going to pause things for the moment. Hong Kong Attitude just going to retake stock and just come back in for a brand new fight.
Yeah, Mega do need to make sure to not tunnel vision too hard on Hong Kong Attitude's kind of bastion of health packs that they want to be pulling back to. They do still need to respect that the objective is the payload, and Hong Kong Attitude could sneak it forward if they're not paying attention.
Sneaking it right now.
Yeah, this is going to be Mega Thunder looking to commit, though, as Aputo looking to get the wraparound on the top side here. Dragonblade sure to come out, and there it goes. Early pick onto CQB. Again, may not need the Dragonblade, and the longer they hold it for, the better this is actually going to get for them. But he doesn't convert further kills, and now they get converted on with the DPS out of the picture. The EMP going to connect with impunity. Follow-up is all there, and again, Randy just doing it for style points. And all those ultimates don't mean a thing, Mega Thunder, if you can't make something happen with them. Hong Kong Attitude are happy to use these ultimates just to secure the cap.
This should not be happening. Mega should be winning this. They're so far ahead in terms of ultimates. Wow. Here comes Aputo. This is the Dragonblade play we've been waiting for, but it's been a long time coming, and Hong Kong Attitude got away with so much even before Aputo's done this. He hasn't actually gotten any kills yet. The rest of Mega do look like they're cleaning up.
Yeah, and it was good that Mega were able to stabilize it. They were able to come in for that last contest, and it was partly because the payload wasn't far enough forward, and also partly because they had some of those ultimates. It wasn't the smoothest, though. Happy to take it, to be sure, but they are now needing to get some ultimates online, get some rotations back in their favor.
And far more expensive for Mega than they actually intended, because Graceful had to solo Transcendence in there, get T1 in there as well, make sure everyone was alive, buy time for Aputo to come back in with the Dragonblade. And finally, even using the Dragonblade, just forcing Hong Kong Attitude out, not actually getting the kills.
I think NZNR is looking for just a pulse bomb pick here to open this one out, to kind of even that up again, get more ultimates. And if they can get that with only 20 seconds on the clock, it would close it out. But the headshot on Aputo, that's rough. Hong Kong Attitude going to try and convert off the back of that. There's the one NZNR needed. And yeah, don't tunnel vision on that health pack. Go for the cart. That's going to be T2 rejoining the team. That's a good bump onto Randy, but it doesn't get the closeout. Now he self-destructs Mui. Great EMP and gets saved by Mango Jai's Transcendence as well, just as he was about to die. Now Aputo rejoins the fight, but he's not got a Dragonblade and he's not got support either. So in overtime, it is all but certain that Hong Kong Attitude will get a cap. Mega not doing themselves any favors here on the contest. They're trickling in.
And Mega, they're going to have to wait for another wave of respawns here. Puto's been caught out a couple of times now. The first time he got caught out, he had the Dragon Blade. Graceful had to use the ultimate to save him, to really buy time to allow him to come back in. This time around again, Puto getting taken down early. Headshots by Randy, if anyone, and that just really puts Mega on the back foot once again. Hong Kong Attitude, they just roll on through. The only saving grace here is the fact that Mega stalled it out until the overtime.
But that is exactly what they did to Matchy yesterday. This is how they ended up losing it. Matchy's still got it pushed through. And honestly, in that situation, Mega didn't get the same work done themselves. But this time around, they're starting to get some kills in this fight. Even trades, though, now for Hong Kong Attitude, but the time is a factor. So even trades actually start to stop favoring Hong Kong Attitude here. Partly because of the respawns, partly because the time starts to run out. But that is a great EMP. And if they can get more than just trade kills, they can really get some extra distance. Every meter counts.
And they are definitely getting that distance right now. Puto's still waiting to respawn, still waiting to use the Dragon Blade rather. So for Mega, time is running out. They need to stall this card up as much as they can, and we're about to hit into another overtime.
There's the commit, but already they hack onto a Puto. They do close out on Mui anyway, even as he's lacking in the mobility, and they commit the ultimates. They had them to commit. The sound barrier kept the DPS safe as they went in, and it is going to pay off. 10 seconds left, but Hong Kong Attitude only just respawning. I don't think anyone's getting close to this payload to push it any further, but they push it a huge distance in what time they had. And Ting barely touches it. Oh, they close it out. Overtime ticks down, gets that extra last meter in there. Hey, why not? Like I said, every meter counts. And now Mega Thunder, they do hold up, but they also have their work cut out for them.
And you have to really look at B as well. I think that's what really made the difference for this team. A was actually important in the sense that Mega lost very quickly. B, they made up a lot of time, but actually on B, because they held out all the way into the overtime itself, they have the opportunity to completely stop up the attack right there. This shouldn't have even gone up to C. The fact that a Ting even got a last meter in there, the fact that they can't make it around the last quarter and nearly even got to the end, that's a big issue for Mega Thunder. They shouldn't have been in that situation.
Exactly. And like I said, the exact same thing happened against Matchy last night. Matchy were able to constantly get these wins in overtime and get extra point caps, get all this distance, and ended up just totally taking it to Mega Thunder on their defense. Now, need I remind you, that's a team Mega Thunder went on to beat. This may not be the same situation. You've got to question Mega Thunder's comfort on this map in general because we often don't see them perform. If they can pull it here and prove us wrong, I would be. Please don't get me wrong. But this is not a situation that is comfortable for them at all.
Mega Thunder need to have a very good A here because their own defense was a little bit of a shambles. They need to make sure they can get through just as quickly as Hong Kong Attitude did. Otherwise, we're looking at a very difficult B push. B was where both teams had a lot of back and forth moments, and I'm expecting a lot more back and forth moments here. So A has to set the standard. If Mega Thunder don't have a good A run, they're not even going to get to C.
Yeah, to be honest, if they lose even much more than about a minute and a half, it'll be a rough start for them. That's probably about the maximum they could afford to lose. In fact, ideally, they just want to cap off one push.
Which is exactly what Hong Kong Attitude did. You have to be able to match their time here. You have to be able to match their pacing here. Because again, you have to look at B. That's where the back and forth action happens. You need as much time going to C as possible. If Mega Thunder can go into C with some time remaining and not into overtime, that's when they can win.
We're going to get the setup now. And honestly, a lot of this will come down to who gets the first pick.
And Mui's already been very good on the Sombra so far, whether that's attack or defense. He's able to find the right targets. Apuro has had some awkward moments on the Genji on this map.
NZNR was looking for the follow-up there on Randy. They're kind of struggling for it. There we go is the D-mech, but they need to be careful not to get collapsed upon as White's going to lose his mech in the counter trade, but Aputo opening up. That's what they've really needed this whole time, and it is going to be enough to get the cap over the line surely. Just need to close out the last few, but have the opportunity to do so, being able to claim this ground. Nice double in there for Aputo to secure it, getting CQB for good measure. I think he's killed just about everyone in that fight.
Yeah, this is definitely, coming into good form now for Aputo. He had a couple of mistakes on his own defense, so it's good to see him being able to come back and readjust, making sure he gets the majority of the kills. The only counter trade that Hong Kong Attitude made was on White's Meg. That's even been reset now. Look at this aggressive position from NZNR and the rest of Mega. This stops Hong Kong Attitude from getting the defensive hold that they lost.
And they've got to respect his pulse bomb as well. They don't have the EMP just yet. This is an opportunity for Mega to gain a lot of momentum before EMP EMP comes up to turn it around for Hong Kong Attitude.
That's very important.
EMP
You're right, we are still waiting for the EMP, and you do have to remember the EMP blunder that he made. NZR going down, though, another blunder from Mega.
And they're committing to this fight anyway. They're not actually converting. Only half the team is up here, and you wonder what Graceful was doing, just kind of running himself down the stairs. And that just gave Hong Kong Attitude a window to capitalize. Look, NZR with the pulse bomb. Sure, it sucks. He died. Back off. Play it safe. You cannot afford big fight losses. You cannot afford Hong Kong Attitude stabilizing.
Once more, though, this is where you do get a lot of back and forth action. Hong Kong Attitude wants to make sure that most of it goes into their favor. And certainly, getting into the stage where ultimates become a factor, they're going to get the support ultimates here. Elk is still waiting for the sound barrier, ready to counter out Apudo as well. CQB and Mangajai in position.
Apudo going to waste no time though, but instantly there's a Transcendence there. There's just not much he can find, and they've already lost Graceful as well. Elk, no sound barrier. CQB going to pop his out, and Hong Kong Attitude happy to absorb all those ultimates from Mega, and they got no gain out of them.
We're not seeing good ultimate reading from Mega here because they assume that we're going to get a little bit more mileage out of the ultimates. They're just simply not. Apudo now changing onto the Soldier. I can respect that. This is now sort of the part of the game where ultimates on the supporting side for Hong Kong Attitude not going to be a factor. What is going to be a factor is going to be the EMP.
I'm amazed at how often Mega actually get held up in this exact spot. Just by the way, on Eichenwald, their map pick. Last chance to close it out on Hong Kong Attitude. Titawat already pressured out in this fight and will be the first casualty. Actually, Graceful technically going down just barely before him, and all the closeout is there. They don't have ultimates to go toe-to-toe with Hong Kong Attitude, and even then, Hong Kong Attitude are flatly out-fragging them.
And all the good progress they got onto A, all the extra time that it bought, slowly dissipating here. Hong Kong Attitude making up for all that lost time, making sure that it wasn't just a one-shot blowout from them. And Mega Thunder, you're right, they are just stopping here. This is where they always sort of get stopped up from Apudo. Maybe wants to rewrite history a little bit. Usually he's been playing the Genji. This time it's going to be on the Soldier, but we need to see some evidence.
Someone's got to go big here from Mega. That's really their only opportunity. And now they're still not playing the payload. They could just play the payload, force Hong Kong Attitude to come to them, but instead they are walking into this EMP trap. They have weathered it a little this time, but they need to get these support ultimates out. White gonna just barely get back into the mech. That was not comfortable, and Graceful's gonna get corner trapped, has to use the Transcendence to stay in it. This time they have an opportunity though now, as the fight is pretty much level, but they need to convert. It's Shaolin who gets the first conversion onto his counterpart, who was gonna be the major DPS factor, and he keeps going off now on the back line, looking to close out the tanks as well. And Mega getting peanuts for all the ultimates they used.
I'm going to add you once again, just holding on to it, and maybe they're able to find these really good fights. Mega Thunder absolutely did run into Hong Kong Attitude there. The EMP came out perfectly onto a lot of members. Mega Thunder, they held on. They lost White's mech, which is probably the casualty they didn't really want because they committed both support ultimates. It will be Hong Kong Attitude's turn to commit pretty soon. So much time is now off the table. 2 minutes remaining, less than that even. Apudo back on the Genji.
Yeah, and now Apudo, like you said, back onto the Genji. So he loses the progress he had on the Soldier. He's got to get work done on this pick, but finally they're getting the work done. Randy gets the self-destruct to try to get back into the mech, and will successfully do so. But without these healers beneath them, Hong Kong Attitude are very vulnerable. Mega, that being said, do need to convert still onto these vulnerable members, and that's the one that they've been after. Apudo swapping back onto the Genji, instant success, and already halfway to his ultimate.
Now, killing Mui here is important because you don't want Mui to get any sort of positioning. You can't allow him to get any sort of setup here. The EMP is what Hong Kong Attitude are going to use to sort of resuscitate their own defense, and they're going to need to do that. We're into sort of position where Mega may even be going into the overtime as the cart finishes at B.
Almost certainly are, as the EMP comes out. Didn't actually catch many members, but Titawat was split off from his team. The trade is in though from Ating, and Apudo, going down to Shaolin, just too diligent for the likes of Apudo. White used the self-destruct as well and instantly loses the mech. And again, you just wish these guys were holding on to some of these crucial ultimates. They need to take every potential future advantage they can get. They do not have the time to throw things at the wall in the hope that something sticks.
The silver lining that you can sort of see here is, at least for Mega Thunder, this is about the time that Hong Kong Attitude got it across the board onto Camp B itself. Hong Kong Attitude got held up until the overtime. Mega Thunder about to be held up until the overtime. The good news is Mega Thunder come in with a decent ultimate advantage. They should be able to get this, considering that EMP is finally gone. Mangajai has no Transcendence. It's only CQB and a sound barrier, and that shouldn't be enough.
Yeah, you say should, but the reality is they have to. An early pick on a Ting would have been great, would have taken the Primal Rage off the table. They need to not let themselves get split. Good pick on Demui. The opening they have been needing. Apudo is slowly getting topped off here, and now he can go aggressive. Sound barrier has been lasted through for Mega Thunder, and they have the ultimates in their favor. Randy's going to get one, though, and they don't get their defensive ultimates now. Mega Thunder, it's all going to be the DPS. They have to convert it. Shylin unanswered. That's a great pick from NZNR. They're going to close out a movie as well, and at the 11th hour, they're getting it over the line, at least to begin with. Hong Kong Attitude could still go for a last-ditch contest here if they so choose.
Just CQB.
Just CQB, and I think, therefore, he should not. That will be the cap. Mega Thunder barely looking to keep it alive here.
Well, now they're going to have to do what Hong Kong Attitude could have. Hong Kong Attitude's not done yet.
The EMP,
this is a
he's
big
gonna
mistake.
go down.
Hong Kong Attitude should not be coming in here because it will be a cap. Now they've run out of tools. Mui, does he stay on the Sombra or not? Maybe he shouldn't because it's not going to have the effect. All the tools that Hong Kong Attitude should have had to defend suddenly out the window, and now Mega Thunder set to win this. They can do it in one push. They have so many ultimates. Hong Kong Attitude run themselves dry.
And they're staying on the Sombra. They're not going to get the EMP. White forward with the self-destruct to create the space. No picks, but pressure. And that could be all they need. Apudo pulling back. Now they go. Sound barrier out. This is the opportunity for them to capitalize. He gets hacked, but the rest of the team is still putting the pressure on. TD gets picked. They've got time to afford a little bit of this because they got the initial payload distance they need, and they could still close it out. But not if the team keeps getting kills like that. Shylin unanswered. The rest of the team successfully retreats, though, and they've still just barely got time to do it.
Hong Kong Attitude are pulling on miracles here. They shouldn't have been able to win that fight. Now Graceful going back onto the Zenyatta, rather no Transcendence, because he just switches. Who does have Transcendence, however, is going to be Mango Chai. You have to expect big business out of Apudo's Dragonblade here. If that doesn't work, nothing's going to work.
It has to be big business. You're right. A Ting is low, getting pressured. No closeout Transcendence from Mango Chai to save his bacon, but Apudo is on the backside. Now he wants to go. Ooh, but he's pressured out, and now he's hacked as well, but he's still trying to put in damage. They're trying to keep him topped off because the rest of their members are dead. NZNR and Apudo are the only ones left, but they're getting closed out. The kills come through across the board, and with only a few seconds left, no one will touch that payload. An absolute heartbreak. So close to getting it over. Mega Thunder will not take down the third place team. They are stuck just shy of that playoffs cluster right now, and it only makes the road ahead harder.
That was very unfortunate from Mega Thunder. I don't think there's any really other way to describe it. So close from both teams, and that's why it makes it even more difficult for Mega Thunder, because they did come into the matchup as the underdogs, despite already winning against Hong Kong Attitude first. Hong Kong Attitude have had a great string of victories ever since. So for Hong Kong Attitude, holding on to this victory means they get to hold on to their spot so far in the top 4. But that also means for Mega Thunder, their dreams of making the top 4 suddenly become more difficult.
That was rough. It was intense from start to finish, but a rough finish at that, because it came down to the exact thing that it has come down to so many times across this series, indeed across this tournament as a whole. That very last fight, do or die. And if it came down to that every single map, well, Hong Kong Attitude won it 3 times, Mega Thunder only won it 2, and that means Hong Kong Attitude get to walk away with the win, and with that win are looking that much more secure in that third place spot. Mega, the hope for playoffs is still alive, but like I said, the road is now only harder. They must beat Blank, they must beat AHQ, and they may still have to beat Flash Wolves too if they're gonna scrape into 4th place.
Yeah, that road is so treacherous now. It could have been so much easier. They could have been at 4 wins, which would have tied them up with Blank, or rather would have put them in contention with Blank, put them in contention with AHQ as well, really slowed down Hong Kong Attitude's progress. In fact, Hong Kong Attitude, after picking up that win, are now in striking distance of Flash Wolves, so now things in the top zone, the top 3 even, get really interesting. But look, small margins across the board for that victory. You got to look at Eichenwald, and both teams had a number of blunders there, especially at the end. Mui coming in with the EMP. That was unnecessary. That could have thrown the entire game away for Hong Kong Attitude. It didn't, because Mega Thunder came through. They didn't get the pressure they needed. They couldn't carry through the momentum. They allowed Hong Kong Attitude to get a full reset, and then when it really counted, Mega Thunder couldn't transfer that into an actual win itself. Real heartbreak.
And this loss could totally transform the game plan here for Mega. Look, that playoffs hope, like I said, is still alive. They should absolutely aim for that, but they may have to address the other glaring thing. The other goal they have to have here is avoid relegations, and this would have been a win that could have had them so much more safe after beating both Matchy and Liberland previously. Having the extra win against Hong Kong Attitude in round robin number 1, this could have been the win that secured it. Let's take a look at some replays now, see how it all played out.
So this is going to be the moment where, for Mega Thunder, they get into the overtime. Killing Mui is important here. Mui does respawn in time to come back into this fight, but it is going to be a fight indeed because CQB really looking to hold on to this, making sure that Hong Kong Attitude do not just lose this outright. It's a lot of kills actually. Killing Graceful and Elk right off the top is incredibly important. Apudo with the Dragon Blade somewhere in there as well. In fact, I believe he already used it, but Inzuna and Tita, I believe, were the ones that actually got the majority of kills here. Mui going down again. Mui should respawn. He's going to commit that fateful EMP. But for Graceful, going into the Soldier, just making sure you get the extra damage in here. And this is about the time where for Hong Kong Attitude, you want to retreat, reconsolidate yourself, and just make sure you can actually set up that C defense properly. And a lot of members coming in to feed their lives in. Mui down as well, CQB down. A lot of players just shouldn't be committing here. Shia Lin, I didn't notice that the first time, uses the pulse bomb. They set the victory up for Mega. All Mega had to do was take it. They just gave it to Mega. They said, here's an open door. Doormats laid out, take the win, and Mega Thunder couldn't do it.
Well, and that's the thing, right? In the fight immediately after that, it was actually much the same. Mega Thunder had created the space. They got the payload further forward. They only had to win that last fight. They even had Apudo in position, and they just didn't close it out. Apudo, unfortunately, the first target he ended up diving onto was the Diva, and then he was just kind of retreating as well.
He got hacked, which is just
and
debilitating.
You can't help but feel, had that not happened, had he actually been secret from Mui as well on the Sombra. And by the way, we questioned Mui staying on the Sombra at the end, so I suppose it paid off. But let's say Apudo kills those supports that had those ultimates that kind of kept it alive as it was needed for Hong Kong Attitude. Let's say he killed some of the DPSs. Let's say he spotted out Mui and killed him before he could get hacked. So many little ifs here, so many marginal things, and it all had to just barely come together at the right moment to make it happen for Hong Kong Attitude.
Well, this is it, right? This is that final moment.
So this was exactly what I was saying. White sends the self-destruct forward just before this to create the space. This is what they occupy. Now you see Apudo go in. The moment he goes in, he's hacked, right? He has all the targets here. He could dive left onto these two healers, but he ends up diving in the middle of the tank line instead. And that just ends up being what costs his team. Suddenly, the DPS is low. No one can do anything. The tanks get eliminated by ultimates like Pulse Bomb and Self-Destruct. These are things that all of these tank players have survived 1,000 times, and then there's just that one time where you need it to happen and those ultimates connect on.
And the second to last fight is important because that was the final fight, but that wasn't the fight immediately after the overtime. Immediately after the fact that Hong Kong Attitude threw all their ults in the door, Mui got his EMP because Hong Kong Attitude actually won another fight in the middle. They're the one that didn't get shown in the replay. But that middle fight was probably even more important because that needed to be the fight that Mega Thunder won. That last one was a lot more even. Because the EMP came out, Apudo got shut down. He actually dashed directly into it, well timed by Mui. So yeah, we questioned the Sombra pick, but actually that worked out well because the final EMP came up so quickly for the team. There was one other situation where Elk, well, not the right Elk, but Graceful swapped onto the Soldier to get it over the line in B. Because he swapped on the Soldier, didn't have time to swap back. He was committed. There was no additional healing. That really hurt the team, but it was the circumstance they had to work with.
Yeah, well, and the other thing that's at play here is, look, they had some ultimates. They had an ultimate advantage even, but because of the extra distance that Hong Kong Attitude had got on their own attack, and this is the other game of inches thing, because I'm going to be honest, Mega Thunder should never have let them get that distance. The fact that they had that extra distance meant Mega Thunder had to commit ultimates to get in striking distance of it. Player of the game, going to go over to Randy on that Diva. Unsurprising, not just for the 2 3Ks on Dorado, but so many self-destruct kills, so many times he absolutely saved people's lives with Defense Matrix when it really counted. And look, this was really, really tight for both of these teams the whole way through. But again, Hong Kong Attitude getting it over the line is what counted, and Randy was a huge proponent of that.
Well, good news at least, and this was kind of mentioned previously, but if you are Mega Thunder, you will get taken a lot more seriously about now because that was almost a win, and I understand, like, almost a win is not a win. It's not good enough to be a win, but it is good enough for other teams to look at you. Never underestimate Mega Thunder again.
And like we said, even the teams at the very top of the standings, and yes, that includes Hong Kong Attitude, cannot rest on their laurels. This is an example of that. Flash Wolves picked up a loss today against AHQ, who were not in the top 4 before that. They could absolutely pick up a loss to a team like Mega Thunder, who will go away and find out what went wrong. They will learn from this, I guarantee you, and they will come back even stronger than before. They have every single time. Ardient, Flash Wolves, Blank, and AHQ must keep eyes on this team, or any one of them could lose their playoff spot.
I do want to recap the day though. So Ardient started things out with a 3-0 sweep against Liberty Supreme, still yet to find their feet. AHQ in a close series against Flash Wolves, taking out the 3-2, and Mega Thunder against Hong Kong Attitude. The match that we just witnessed was a 3-2 in favor of Hong Kong Attitude. Now let's take a look at the updated standings, where teams are sitting. Ardient still in number 1, 8-0. Flash Wolves, after taking a loss, still sitting at number 2, 7-2. Hong Kong Attitude now at 6-3. In third place, AHQ in fourth, sitting at 4-4, tied with Blank Esports, also with a 4-4 record. Mega Thunder sitting in 6th after taking a loss against Hong Kong Attitude, now 3-6. Marchi in 7th with a 2-6. Liberty Supreme in 8th, sitting at 0-9.
And this is that situation now for Mega Thunder here. You see it in the standings. That middle 4 teams, look, Flash Wolves aren't necessarily secure themselves, don't get me wrong, but that middle 4 teams are the ones in the most contentious spot. Look, Hong Kong Attitude nearly picked up a loss tonight. AHQ picked up a win against Flash Wolves. What's going to happen when those two teams meet again? As much as Hong Kong Attitude have beat them 3 times in a row, this is AHQ who have kind of flipped the script on teams that beat them time and time again up until now. That's something Hong Kong Attitude have to be aware of. Blanca's always going to be a threat in there as well. What if Blanca are able to still beat AHQ? This is this super mobile area. And what if both of those teams start struggling again? What if Mega Thunder is the one who picks up the wins against Blank and AHQ? Anything can happen in that middle of the pack. We have no idea who teams 3 and 4 will be moving into playoffs, and we're not going to know until the very last day of games. This is going to be nothing like OPC Season 1, and even Flash Wolves might not be secure.
It does seem that way as well. Hong Kong Attitude have made the most progress they've ever made. We saw and we said last season, this is a top 3 caliber team. They didn't make that top 3. They are currently sitting in 3rd. This is the best that Hong Kong Attitude has ever looked, the best that they've ever had in terms of standings as well. Certainly must be feeling proud, but let's get into the post-match interview now with Mui, the winner from the winning team, Hong Kong Attitude.
不过说真的，我
Translating
看得
this one over.
很过瘾，今天的比赛好精彩哦。
是的，
那我们这边呢还要再次恭喜 HK 3-2的战绩
Congratulate
拿下了今天的
Hong Kong
胜利
Attitude one more time
哦
for a 3-2
那我们这边
victory.
也是邀请到了 Mui 来参加我们的访问哦，你要不要先跟大家打个招呼啊？
大家好，我是 HK 的 Mui。
那我们这边有几个简单的小问题想问你哦，因为其实你们在第一次对局的时候呢，你们是3-0
So
输
you actually lost to Mega the first time around?
Mega Thunder
是是
对，现在变 Mega 了，有没有？
对
可能战斗力减低了，名字少了一半。
哎呦，
哎呦，好，当时你们是输给了 Mega 嘛，对不对？那其实，在这么短的时间内，你
So
们
in a short
做了什
time,
么样的准备，怎么样的磨
What kind of
合，
preparation
能够到今天能够打败他
have you
们？
had to get this victory today?
以前上一次对到他们的时候，我们是用传导枪去打，
So we used a lot of Tracer Soldier back
这
then,
是完全被打烂。然后
but they
这
tore
一
through that.
次因为知道对手会出刺客阵，所以我们也用几天去练了。
So we expected
就为了看
some
他们。
几天的时间就可以练出刺客阵。
对
triple
因为
DPS as well.
原本我们没有在练这个阵的，对。
哦你这样的
We
话叫
we
闪电狼
really
岂可
read their
不可
play and we've been focusing on our own DPS as well.
好坏哦，有没有？
是是是。那这边想问你几个问题，就是我们其实 Mega 上你们对局过一次哦。那我觉得想问一下你们以对手身份来问一下，就是 Mega 他们其实在换上新选手、新选手之后，其实开始成长是有点。
So Mega have had better results after changing up some of their
问一下
roster.
就是你们觉得 Mega 最近的对他们最近的进步有什么样的看法？
What do you think of their recent improvements?
我觉得 Mega 的刺客阵跟 ALT 的很像，就是起火速
Actually,
度很快。
Mega's
所以我觉得
DPS
这是
is
他们
similar to
最
Ardent's
大的优点
in the sense that
就
they're
是
coordinated,
把刺
they're
客
very
阵完美
fast,
地发挥出来。
是，所以可以你们后排造成很大的压力。
and it feels like they pressure our backline a lot.
那我这边有一个比较佛范一点的问题想问你哦，就是我们一开始的时候看到小杰教练平常穿的这么嘻哈，对不对？我们的赛前访问的时候，他这么会 diss， 我觉得真的
So I
很。
feel like
那他平常在练习室的时候会 diss
your coach kind of dissed the other team at the start.
他就 他都叫自己是 PG1 啦，
你这样爆人家料啊！
完了被出卖了。
然后都会在那边 rap 啊。
So I'm not too sure what he used to describe his coach there, but
明天哦，你们要面对到
I'm not in on that joke.
目前 OPC 第2赛季的一个很大盟，就是来自韩国的阿良的。想问一下，说你们这边心里有什么样的一些想法，就面对到这场艰巨的战役？
So how do you feel now going up against other teams like Ardian in the second round robin?
就用比较新的东西去打他们吧。
哦，所
I
以
feel
有
like
参照
with some new tricks as well, maybe.
算是有吧。
没关系，不用讲，我们期
没关系，没关系
待明天，。
我们明天就可以拭目以待了。那我们今天的比赛差不多告一个
Robles
段落。
and
但是
Mr.
大
Yu
家
saying,
千万
well,
记
well,
得
don't reveal it too early. We'll have to find out tomorrow when you do want to bring that one out. It's going to be interesting because Hong Kong Attitude do have to play Ardian tomorrow. So, yeah,
Tough
so
one.
Hong Kong Attitude, look, 3-2 victory against Mega Thunder. Mega Thunder, who have also been improving as well. And Mega Thunder actually do seem like a little bit like Hong Kong Attitude from last season
Yeah.
in that in sort of the very late part of the tournament, they're making a lot of strides.
And look, here's the thing for Mega Thunder as well. Look, the playoff hope is alive, but it's not the end of the world if that hope gets taken away from you altogether. And they are just 1 or 2 more losses away from having that hope taken away from them. But the thing is, avoiding relegations is a very real victory for them here because they did it previously in Season 1. This time around, with the competition being stiffer, repeating that performance is a great thing. You don't want to go from being the 3rd place finisher in Season 1 to being the last place finisher in Season 2 because you didn't keep up and the 2 worst teams got sent home, right? This is still a good thing for Mega Thunder, and like you said, on the up. Maybe the hope has to be sometime in the future they're going to be able to be a playoffs caliber team in this sort of competition. For now, the hope is alive. But avoiding relegations, they'll be happy to take it. Hong Kong Attitude, on the other hand, looking much better now in that playoff spot, can very realistically hold on to it until we reach semifinals and they can at last earn the spot they've been working so hard to gain.
Right, let's take a look at now the upcoming matches. Ardian will be taking on Hong Kong Attitude in tomorrow's opening match, followed by Limited Supreme and AHQ, and finishing off the Sunday with Blank Esports against Machi. So everyone needs to get some good wins in there. We'll have to find out exactly who beats who. That's all going to happen tomorrow, though, as Saturday, day 2 of week 4 has been wrapped up. I've been Kevin Aberwalker joining with me this evening, Matt Pixie Carroll, and OPC action in Season 2 does continue tomorrow.